Well, hello. I'm so glad you came. It's wonderful to see you here today. So, I want to talk about so many things, but because I do not want to forget them, I want to just go ahead and let y'all know who's here. It's amazing, Tom. We're all surprised. And then, of course, for a lovely guest appearance, longtime friend of the show and personal friend, it's Stephanie. Stephanie is in theory here.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm here. Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hello. So that's everybody. Everybody's here. Yay. And who knows? Maybe there'll be more everybody's. That would be lovely too. So, and before, let me just go ahead and go. Eva's here. Beepity beep beep to you too, honey. Hello. And Maggie is here. Hello, lovelies. Yes, yes. And Tom is here doing double duty. Hello. And Charlie is here. Hello, darling. And let's see. Oh, and CB is here. Camp Nano Prep has begun. Yes. The March has started. It's true. We're here. And there's Megan. Hello, hello. Megan is here too. It's so nice. So first off, y'all know me. Let's all talk about how's the weather there. Specifically temperatures and anything about your weather, I totally want to know. Let's see. I think right now it's today's high. I want to say it's supposed to be 68.
No.
Today's high is supposed to be 57 and it's 53 right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's not that warm compared to all you people's higher temperatures, but it's high for us right now. So I'm going to go with it.
Let's see. Okay, it's currently 61 degrees, and today's high is now supposed to be 62.
Ooh, Wednesday's supposed to be 61.
Woo-hoo. And a 75% chance of rain starting. Tomorrow we're having a 94% chance of rain. So, yeah, that's going to go great, and a high of 50.
That's so much better than yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
Like 84.
High of 80? 84?
Well, at least it topped out at 84 while I was driving.
I want high temperatures like that. That'd be nice. I don't even care.
I'm just going to, real quick aside, if Tanya is lurking, she just sent me a text with math problems. Honey, I am in the middle of the show. I cannot help you with your math. So anyway, I cannot help you solve for R right now, but I will get back to you in a couple hours. Unless everybody wants to help Tanya with her math, in which case I will put it up. Anyway, where are we? Let's see, Camp Nano. Oh, and CB also has 7 meals in the freezer. That is excellent. Yes, you're doing fantastic, honey. I'm very proud of you. Yes, it's a start, but there's ways to go. Yes, exactly. Eva says, "'Tis the mountain before Camp Nano, and all through the land, riders began
a month before
the planning began." Yes, amen. She's got it. So, all right.
Oh yeah, camp is in April. I forgot.
Let's see. Eva says it's 49 and sunny. Very nice. Very nice. As I said, you don't have to tell me your weather, but you know, I want to know. So anyway, yeah, what do we have to talk about? Because I've gotten the thing I want to know is I want to know how everybody's weather is. That just makes me happy inside. And right, isn't Awkward Sibling Hour about us being more true to who we are rather than trying to mask to conform to neurotypical ideas of being cool and normal?
Is it truly possible to stop masking, though? It's such an odd feeling. Like, I don't even know what that's like anymore.
Yeah, no, it's not really possible because I know that I mask even with you, Tom, because I want to overtalk so freaking much. And it's not that I don't want to hear what you have to say. It's just that I also have all of these thoughts and I wish to share it and be known by you. And it's like, Please stop, Gloria. So, anyhow, but like I consider that more minimal masking. And we certainly did want to mention, so today's episode is about coping skills and, by extension, home training. In theory, the majority of us in a perfect, ideal world, utopia, I guess, we would have learned a lot of coping skills at home from the people who are our family of origin, who, in theory, love and support us and want us to only succeed. And, but we live in the real world. So anyway, we're moving on. Yeah, so we're going to talk about coping skills and also some when I was a student teacher in Mississippi and Alabama, I was told what was called home training, and that's how the teachers referred to it as, oh, this child's home training is like nearly non-existent, or oh, this child has excellent home training. They regularly see both their mama, their grandmama, their daddy, and their granddaddy. You know, that sort of thing. Like that was how they talked about it. Essentially, like to a lot of teachers, home training and the way they talked about it was like, does this child have adequate support at home? Are there a variety of adults and at least older children who are there to help this child navigate life and learn how to cope better? Or are they pretty much on their own? And therefore, the teachers need to up their home training game as best they can.
Yeah.
And that was why they talked about it that way. So Tom is running the technical side of this. So he's running the chat and the banners. Yes, we are also broadcasting right now on Twitch. In case anybody likes Twitch better. Maybe one day we'll make affiliate. Who knows? So
how do you become an affiliate on Twitch anyway?
How do you make affiliate?
Yeah. Are you referring to affiliate on Twitch?
You need 50 followers. You need I literally Googled this recently, but you need like so many hours of watch time. You have to have streamed at least 7 times in the last month. There's several requirements, although, you know, honestly, they're not.
None of them are that hard.
They're not YouTube difficult, you know.
Like if you're streaming twice a week, at least an hour each time, preferably 2 hours, you'll be fine. You just have to make 50 followers and have at least 3 people looking at you regularly.
Okay. I've got it pulled up from Twitch website. At least 500 total minutes broadcast in the last 30 days. At least 7 unique broadcast days in the last 30 days. An average of 3 concurrent viewers or more over the last 30 days and at least 50 followers. And so you make affiliate.
Okay.
So it's still considered easier to reach, you know, than YouTube to get monetized, which requires like what, 4,000 watched minutes and 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
As well as a Google Ads account. Blinker Bell's over there on Twitch. So that's what's going on. So that's what we're planning on talking about. Are we going to stick to it? Well, we do have ADD and ADHD, so best of luck. Stephanie, would you like to do an intro?
Sure. Hello, everybody. If you don't know, my name is Stephanie. It says so at the bottom of my picture right here. See? Hello. Is that the intro? Oh, wait. That's right. I have 2 books out there. I have this one. This is the old cover, but same picture. And then today I've got a buttload of these beautiful, beautiful books. There you go.
Let's look at it. All beautiful. Yes.
It's so pretty.
There's pages in there and everything.
There you go. Oh. And this bridge, for those of you that don't know, is called the St. John's Bridge. It is in Portland, Oregon, which is where my story takes place. So that is
Nice.
why I chose that one. And it's a fat, lovely fat book, but that is okay because the font is nice and big. So anybody, no matter how lovely their vision is, can read it.
Awesome.
Oh,
Nice.
I have a channel here on YouTube, and I do vlogs and stuff. and I'm here on Mondays with Glory.
And
That's me.
Stephanie's YouTube link is down below in the description.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't even know that. Yeah, he's down there.
Well, I pretty much put it in every week.
Okay.
Listed under people who help me feel like supported and appreciated as a community. And so, yep, you're in there. So that, just in case people on the rewatch or whatever, it's already there. So, and then from Stephanie's YouTube account, I know Steph has links on her YouTube account to her social media and stuff. We will get it updated.
Yes.
Eventually.
I have a bunch of links.
Because I did not know Stephanie was going to join us till 10 minutes before live. So I was still putting
I usually make a point to join you, Glory. Okay. Monday is my streaming with Glory day.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Should I just start putting you in? And so when you don't show up, it's like, I hope she's okay.
Has she achieved friend of the show status?
Well, she is. She's in the Friends of the Show Instagram group.
I'm in there. Does that count?
Yes.
Yes, just coming in there.
Start putting everybody's pictures in, like, hey, if they show up,
And I mean, there was like that several weeks in a row where I wasn't anywhere because I was busy with like Christmas holidays, family stuff, and finishing my book. But other than that, I'm here all the time.
Are those tug waddles? Sorry.
I am not sure what those are.
What are
those?
They could just be little Charlies with purple hair.
I mean,
Is it like someone raising their hand up?
No, it's just
here. Hello.
Like a little face, but like kind of like David Bowie-ish.
Yeah, it's there. Definitely a raise your hands in the air.
All right, I am ready to pick apart. So, and then there's Tom, who I guess today is called What We're Talking About.
Yeah, I need to adjust that.
Tom has a new mic today. We're very happy.
Do I sound more normal?
Yes.
What does not normal Tom sound like? Just saying.
Like,
oh.
Can you hear me now?
Charlie says those are Lumirude hyper emotes.
Yes.
I don't know. I knew the first two words in that sentence. I guess do I know what emotes are? Anyway.
Emotes are custom emoticons. Just like the little custom...
Like on Discord, the different channels had different emoticon thingies for like emoji things. So I think on Twitch you can do the same thing. But I found out the other day that if you're in 25 different Discord group channels, whatever, that you can, doesn't matter what group you are in, you can share the emoticon things in any of the other groups. I'm not explaining that right. Just ignore me, it's fine.
You could, share them in other Discord servers. I thought they were to that server, so I haven't been using all the ones I have access to. So I've learned something today. I was today years old. So let's should we talk a little about coping skills, or should we just shoot the breeze? What do you guys want to do? I honestly,
do you want to set up at least for what is a coping skill?
Okay, what is a coping skill? What did I say?
Did you? Oh.
It's what you do so you don't murder someone in their sleep, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes. That's what a coping skill is. It is a technique or skill that you've learned and are able to utilize that helps you, keep living. That was approximately what my psychologist said 23 years ago. Sydney was probably right. So, that's what a coping skill is. That's really sweet. Eva says, for me, a coping skill is an intentional action taken to take control over my emotional response.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of different kinds of coping skills because there's also interpersonal coping skills.
And there's even intellectual coping skills, so there's emotional coping skills. Sure. There's also logical coping skills, things that just help you deal, even learning coping skills, for some people, highlighting important text in a book or whatever, handouts
Or
is
was it
helpful
Roy
for
G.
them.
Biv? What are those?
But like if I
Acronyms?
did that, the entire book would be highlighted because it's all important in my brain, right? Like the whole thing would be highlighted.
Well, you want the key phrases
I
that summon
mean,
up the rest
I
of the
really want to
information.
take you aside as a teacher and like, let's actually talk about this because no. No,
I mean, not now, but like when I was in high
not.
school, I was like, it's all important. I'm going to highlight it all.
And
But,
it's like,
but
no.
as I got older, it wasn't like
Mhm.
that.
Oh, okay. Because like I'm like, do I need to have an educational intervention right now? As a teacher, once a teacher,
She
always
will
a teacher.
do it.
Yeah, I have literally highlighters at the ready. I'm ready, y'all.
And so,
Let's discuss
real
highlighters.
quick, coping skills simply mean strategies you've come up with to get by, to help you with uncomfortable situations. And there is, as Glory's therapist, I forget what she was.
Therapist. She was a psychologist. She was,
put it
credit.
of just like 4-H. There is, good, better, best.
Yes.
Except with coping, except with coping, it's more of like it keeps you going, and then there's good, better, best.
Right. She and I, well, all right. In fairness, she and I had this conversation once. So I started seeing her when I was 19. I saw her till I was like almost 21. So I saw her for slightly more than a year and a half maybe. And we did have a conversation once about, but heroin is not a coping skill. And she's like, okay, let's talk about heroin. Yeah, heroin's not a great coping skill, but if the choice is either you kill yourself today, I'm so sorry, trigger warning, we are going to this is probably the only part where we're going to talk about suicide. But I was in therapy and I wanted to talk about this, but she's like, if the choice is to suicide or to do another hit of heroin and, get you through the next 3 days, heroin is then therefore a coping mechanism. It's not a great one. It's not even a good one. But if it's the difference between heroin or death, heroin I would still recommend over death.
Because as long as you're alive.
Yeah, you cannot grow and learn if you are dead. So that was her point of like, there is no mechanism if it's helping you get through life that is like worse than death. Death is the worst one. That's the bottom. So that was her point about everything is a coping mechanism, but it is is it a barely or a destructive coping mechanism, or is it a good, better, best situation? And let's try to ladder up. Let's try to develop a variety of coping mechanisms, because that was actually why I originally went to see her when I was 19 years old, was I felt like I was now an adult because I was living on my own and I was working full time. And I just felt like I could not cope with life. I could not cope. And so there was a program in my area where you could see a psychology professional on a graduated pay scale. I was at the bottom of the scale, so I paid $9 a session back in 1998 money. And that was what I went to go see her for, was coping skills. And she was very fascinated by this because apparently in all of her many decades of working, no one had ever come to her just for coping skills. But I'm like, don't you come to experts? That's what I'm here to do, teach me coping skills. So that was like literally why we talked about coping skills so often. And I paid $9 a month, $9 a week for, I think like I went a total of 46 times. And you are all here to benefit from this investment. I wish to share all of it with you. Yes, Sydney was surprisingly open about like, it's fine to have coffee. It's fine to, even have cigarettes. I wish you wouldn't. But, if that is, again, helps you cope, you know what? That's better than the alternative. The alternative of destroying your life and then no longer being alive. Yeah. So it's fine in comparison with the other options. So let's remember that coping skills are not necessarily great, but if they help you, they are good and valid, and we're going to honor them. We're going to respect them. And we're not going to poo-poo coping skills or coping mechanisms if it works for you.
Because people can recover from almost anything, but you still need a heartbeat.
It's true. You need a heartbeat. It is true. It's funny how
But I mean, all the stuff when you're parenting a child, all you're trying to do is give them coping skills and strategies so that they can better work with the outside world, because the world is not inside you. The world is so different than you. How do you, just walk in and, get what you need with others?
Mm-hmm.
So here's all the ways that we signal to each other. That, one of my favorite coping strategies my father came up with, who was somehow simultaneously very autistic, very weird, and yet could be very charming, was candy bars. This man is like, we talk about how this should not work. These are grown-ass adults who profess to not even having a sweet tooth. But you give them a full-size candy bar out of just hey, I thought I got, it was a deal and I got some extra, which, here's one for you too. All of a sudden,
they're your best friend. They want to single you out and call on you at meetings to see if you have something to contribute all of a sudden. So by the way, you don't have to actually provide full-size candy bars. I found that you can provide fun size and you get the same effect from people. Especially they like it because then they can have multiple fun size of a variety of flavors. So I had a whole plate at my desk when I was a librarian. And yes, people loved it. I mean, I had judges from the county come in because where I was in a county industrial park building. And so there were a variety of people, but anybody who was having a rough day knew that they could come up to my office on the second floor and get themselves one or more fun-sized candy bars. So people were always happy to see me. It is a wonderful mechanism for currying favor without having to really get to know people, have many conversations with them, anything awkward, or to take up your time, because I was very busy. I was doing interlibrary loan work. So I was busy all the time, but it was a great way to get people to like me.
I found for the going to someone else's place better, at least for me, even more so than full-size candy bars, because, not everyone's really up for eating a full-size candy bar.
There's a lot.
The Hershey's Treasures, which are these solid little pieces of chocolate with almonds or caramel, different little goodies, but it's a very nice quality one, and all the wrappers are metallic. Oh, those go over so well. Mm-hmm. They are suddenly like, what do you need? I like you. You bring quality. Of the, it's $4 for a
little bag,
an 8-ounce or 12-ounce bag. I don't know what it is now, but it goes so far because it's a way of showing that you are invested in them, that you wish to gift them. You are not just trying to take from them.
It really kind of makes me wonder about the neurotypical world, to be perfectly honest. But anyhow, Steph?
Yes?
Did you
I have nothing to add at this point.
Okay. I just want to make...
I will interject. I will gladly talk over you guys, because you've told me repeatedly we talk a lot. You talk over us.
Okay.
Butt in there, so I am...
I just wanted to check and make sure that we weren't going on manners, politeness rules.
No, I'm not polite. It's fine. I can totally be rude. We're good.
Okay. So yeah, that is not the only coping skill. There are so many coping skills, and one that I think a lot of people here, including in the chat, might recognize is the coping skill of writing, of editing, of using their imagination to make worlds that don't exist. That is a coping skill. Also, reading it. reading other people's stories to get an escape from your world.
Hey, real quick, for Laura, one that does immediately come to mind about how to get that interaction when in this time of pandemic.
Yeah.
I think Gloria may have mentioned it before, but the have a snack with a friend over Zoom. It doesn't even have to be the same food. I mean, it does help to be able to share, but to share food while visually seeing other people works for most people. Because there is a physical interaction and sensation, it does help your brain even more than just talking and seeing someone. Because there's something you're physically interacting with.
Also, I mean, like, I don't know if you're in a place where you can financially afford it, but a weighted blanket could be very helpful because it is so, like, we are the most introverted of us are still part of a species that is a pack animal species. Humans are pack animals, and we feel less stressed when we are with other people, whether humans. We know, well, no matter what happens, we won't be alone in handling whatever stressor comes. And so we also, because we're pack animals, we need physical touch. And there are plenty of weighted blankets available that feel very similar to weighted touch. And if you can't get a weighted blanket where you are immediately, or it's just financially just too cost prohibitive, I have in the past as a child been known to pile every blanket on the bed and every pillow and then burrow down underneath and close my eyes holding another pillow and imagining that I am surrounded by people kind of laying on me who love me and will protect me. And that has been very helpful to make me feel loved and cared for. Pillows are really useful for that, of like it, even more than just blankets. Blankets just sort of that overall feel, but pillows really do give this, like how people don't give a full body weighted feel, but pillows give a partial body feel, and that's how humans are when they hug us. They don't hug us in 360, right? They only hug part of us because you can only reach what you can reach. And I found that in the past has been very helpful. I have been known in the past to so I've got a queen size bed, and I have piled a bunch of pillows on one side like a person, and then curled up on it, or then curled the other way and then backed up to it, and it feels very similar to a person.
Laura knows what you're talking about, by the way.
Yes. So, also, I don't know what your living situation is, but a mini dachshund is great. They love to burrow. They're one of the very few dog breeds that really enjoy burrowing. And they love it very warm under covers. So you're going to get like a heat sink right on your butt while you're sleeping. And nothing feels so good. You definitely do not feel alone, because no matter how much you move in the bed, you move away, the dachshund will follow you. The dachshund will just keep backing up into you to keep you warm, and so that you both don't feel alone. So on a primal level, it can be very helpful. I'm told that cats are somewhat similar. They like to sit on top of the bed while you're sleeping and do this kind of similar thing. But again, it's, you find what works for you. If you can get a pet and you are a pet kind of person, that may be something to seriously consider. Especially if you're home right now in a plague, you've got time to train them.
But seriously, consider having, weekly or at least bi-monthly little mealtime visits with friends.
Yeah, I have several friends that I have Zoom chats with. In fact, it was one of the things I wanted to encourage the entire AuthorTube community as part of a program that we're working on later this upcoming year, of skills to help grow our AuthorTube community into a place where there's lots of safe spaces And one of the suggestions I've been working on so far is to invite other author tubers to Zoom snack with you. A Zoom snack does not need to last as long as, say, a Zoom meal. A Zoom meal, might presumably be like an hour to 2 hour meal, because let's be honest, you've got your meal and then, you're talking and it takes a little while. It takes like an hour and a half. So, right. But a Zoom snack or a Zoom coffee maybe only takes 30 minutes. Because I know everybody's got a really busy schedule and I get that. And that's what I was thinking, like, I've got my tea. Let's talk. And again, it's a less of a time that you have to devote. You get to know someone else, and again, you don't feel as alone. So, Laura, if you'd like to Zoom snack, I have a very open and available schedule. I don't know about anyone else, but I just want to put that out there. If anybody would like to Zoom snack with me anytime in the next several weeks, let me know. We will schedule some Zoom snacks. Or if we even want to do as a community and do an open Zoom snack. Where, I'm able to share the Zoom link with everyone and they can just pop in if they can. We can even do Zoom snack like once or twice a week or something. But yeah, let's do that. It's something that I thought would be fun, and I really enjoy having Zoom meals and Zoom snacks with my friends, and it's been how I've been able to get through the plague as well. Ava says, I've yet to use Zoom, but I am down for Zoom snacks. Yes. The Zoom invite is just a link you press. And so you can honestly just use Zoom on your browser. As long as you have at least audio, you don't even have to have a webcam to use Zoom.
Also, there's another option if people don't like or want to use Zoom, you could always make like a chatting room on Facebook. You have up to I think it's 30 or 50 people in one chat room, and everyone's on screen at the same time. So it's like a giant Zoom call, but it's using something if you have Facebook on your phone or your computer, it's something you already have access to. It's not something else you have to learn how to do. Yeah. Just putting it out there.
I haven't ever Zoom or I haven't done a video chat on Facebook, but I am open to give it a try. But yeah, we can all start doing that because y'all, loneliness kills. And I mean that in a literal sense. Loneliness kills. There's a lot of studies coming out in the last 15 years about how people all over the world are physically dying of loneliness. So we do need to address this. And I certainly want everyone who is within the sound of my voice to know.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. He'll be back.
No! Tom, come back!
Is it an awkward sibling hour without technical difficulties? I think not. It is our hallmark signature. But there he is. Well, maybe okay. He's somewhere. He's working on it. There he meets.
Oh man, you teased your appearance, man. Oh, is he coming back? Oh, Tom, the worst thing, you came back. Woohoo!
But yeah, I just want you to know that if you are seeing this even later and you're like, I would like to Zoom with someone, let me know. I mean, as long as you're okay with my company, I am available for Zoom snacks, especially if I go ahead of time, so I have time to make the coffee or the toast or whatever. Actually, I mean, I say that, and I've literally got Zoom snacks here, so yeah. Anyway.
I have cupcakes.
I wish I had cupcakes right now. Oh, I miss cakes so much.
I got them from Winco. They opened up near us, and it's a nut-free facility cupcakes.
Ooh, nice.
So everybody in our house can eat them.
That is awesome. That's genuinely awesome.
I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay. So, I just wanted to point out, loneliness is serious. Please don't ignore loneliness. If you feel lonely, that is your mind and your body telling you that you need to reach out, as difficult as that may be, because your system is going into stress. So please pay attention to the feelings of loneliness and, reach out to us, reach out to your friends, anybody, so that you can deal with this loneliness feeling, because it is your system telling you that you don't feel entirely safe or relaxed. Hello, Aphrodite. Hello. So I just wanted to point that out of like, let us all agree not to ignore any sensations of loneliness we may experience. If
Yeah,
our mind's telling us.
one of the things we kind of need to unlearn from the previous couple generations is this whole ignore all of these basic feelings we have on a regular basis. Often it's your body trying to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a coincidence. It's not oh, bodies just do that. It's usually something to pay attention to and go, but why? And what can I do to handle it?
Exactly. So I just wanted to mention that, yeah, Maggie says there was a time in my life when my bipolar was so bad that I literally used cooking for my cat as a reason to start my daily routines of getting up, breathing in, and following the daily to-do list. Exactly. Whatever gets you started, whatever gets you through, that is important. And it is valid and it is valuable. Including, yeah, the cat needs you. It is such a powerful thing to be needed by someone else, including an animal. You know, there were times where I did not give up hope on my life because at the time I had my miniature dachshund. She lived for about 15 years and she was the sunshine of my life. And she was the reason I kept moving forward because I didn't have a lot of other reasons at a certain point. Yeah. That's very sweet. Thank you, Eva. I mean, I like Zoom chats and Zoom snacks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, snacking is good, right? Yeah. Also, I have my Zoom account set up so that people don't have to wait in the waiting room. They can automatically be there. And so if other people come in, then you can all just chit chat. I don't even have to be there. If like my ADHD has attacked and I have entirely forgotten time exists and I am off doing odd things in another part of the house and without my phone, these things happen on a regular basis, y'all. I just Roomba around sometimes and go, wait, it's an hour later? How did time pass? So, yeah. Anyway, but I absolutely, please let me know if there's something I can do, including even setting up Zoom snack schedules and stuff. I would absolutely love to. I love being of service. It makes me very happy to be able to use some of my few life skills to help others. I love it. But I would say, yeah, from a personal perspective, the weighted blankets or at least piling pillows on yourself really does feel like a hug, particularly in bed. And having a video conferencing or video chat with people, especially over food and meals, can be very helpful. So just wanted to mention that. So I was thinking, how about we do a 10-minute sprint? Thoughts?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that. And then when we come back, we will start on, like any coping skills anybody wants to share to the group. And we will talk about all of them because that's what we're here for. This is what we're doing. It's going to be an awesome show. Let's see. Every time, let's remember how to share screen. Oh, the old skill.
I never remember.
I'll get there eventually. Okay, so I was thinking because it is the prep for Camp Nano, that we would trot out Camille's 10-minute nano timer. What do y'all think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks good. I like that cup.
I know, isn't it cute? Okay, so here we're going to go. In 3, 2, 1, sprint! Beep 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 beep. Hello, hello.
Hello.
So, how did everybody do?
I moved locations.
Very nice, very nice. What you got, Tom?
I found a really nice list of the generalized of how people cope.
Okay.
What are the general strategies, we employ? And I thought it was actually a surprisingly nice list from UCLA.
So, humor, seeking support, problem solving, relaxation, physical recreation, adjusting expectations, denial, self blame, venting. Are there any beyond that, or is that?
That's all the specific ones that are listed here.
Oh, okay.
These are the most common ones people do. And, you can definitely tell it. There's good ways, there's better ways, and there's much better ways to do all of these. I mean, even relaxation, there's definitely good ways to relax in a stressful situation, and there's definitely inappropriate ways.
Are you thinking of that? What was it? New York Times, that Zoom call where that the guy,
yeah, among others, yes.
Don't pull out your body parts. That's no matter how you may think that's relaxing, it's not appropriate in a work environment.
What did I miss?
So there were actually within I think a couple weeks there were 2 different incidences. Not with the same company. I want to say one was with the New York Times. I can't remember what the other company was, but they both essentially were on these big Zoom conferences with lots of employees. And what you can do in Zoom is you can break out into groups. Because I think it happened similarly in both of these, where a bunch of the people on these Zoom calls broke out into smaller groups to, essentially, whatever, let's say do group activities. I don't know. And the person in charge, or one of the people in charge, which were both older men, I guess didn't think anyone could see them since everybody was in groups, and they started to touch themselves. And the webcam was still on. And so, yes, people saw parts of them that they did not expect to see of coworkers or bosses or whatever. And both times, both of these men were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't think anyone would see me." Versus there were other people who were like, "Oh, no, this person actually has a history of sexual harassment. Their HR could tell so many tales." That, yeah. So this whole, "Oh, I didn't realize the webcam was still working, even though I could totally see myself in my laptop." Yeah. So, yes. So, but they had claimed "Oh, they just needed to relax." So they were touching themselves in a work environment. And I'm like, the fact that they are trying to explain away their behavior, and it is problematic even in what they are explaining, is so cringy.
Yeah, no matter which angle they're going for, it's still not appropriate. It's still a very poor form of coping.
Yes.
Okay. It reminds me of this time I was working at this call center where I live, and there was this couple. They were dating, and it was near the end of a really slow Saturday shift. And well, they were no longer allowed to sit by each other after this, because their neighbors witnessed her paying attention to him. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
I do not understand. I have to be honest, I really don't understand people wanting to feel as sexual in any way sexual in a work environment. And I'm like,
yeah, I didn't get that either.
I do not, I don't know. Maybe I just compartmentalize myself far more, but that is not the fun time place. That is not the adult fun time location or environment. I can't feel adult fun timey in that context, because
well, I think it's a one way of forcing themselves to disassociate, because your brain tends to only have the capacity to feel, kind of sexual or serious. It doesn't do both at the same time so well. And so it's right there with using drugs and other things of it's forcing you out instead of you doing it through your own action. You're kind of relying on an external force to readjust your thinking and mindset.
I mean, maybe, okay. I literally have a diagnosed dissociative disorder, and I'm like, no, cannot do it. No. So, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just like, okay, I mean, still not appropriate. And the fact that a human being thinks it's okay to get like that in a work environment of any nature, like, I would feel uncomfortable if somebody were doing that even in a bathroom of like, ooh, you need, no. I mean, we have had problems like at the library I worked at. There was a story about a former employee who was looking at adult fun-timey things on the computer at a branch of the library system. And people could see the monitor or the reflection of it in the window and see it was very adult fun-timey time. And children were coming in and they did not turn it off. And it's like, what? Why? What? There's so much more to unpack there. That sort of. So again, it is, I guess, destructive, good, better, best situation for coping skills. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to unshare this real quick. Okay. And let's catch up with what people have been saying in the chat. By the way, Maggie, yes, do you have a cat that chirped? I would very much like that cat. I love it when cats chirp. I think it's so cute. I love it, love it, love it. I'm always like, but tell me what you're trying to say. They're like, why can you not understand my language? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Did you know you're a cat? Anyway, and then I'm not. And they're like, oh, I was aware you're not a cat. You're very naked. So, and then Eva had this lovely series of stories about the coolest chameleon that went missing and then came back. It reminded me, Tom, do you remember that skink that visited us? So the library system had a series of performers that would come every summer for summer reading program. And this one particular performer, it was him and his young son. Like, I think the son was 8 years old. And they had like all sorts of cool stuff. They had a didgeridoo. They had a bunch of animals, including the most beautiful skink I'd ever seen. And they were camping. And it's summertime, and they obviously did not understand how Mississippi is so humid. And we happened to we were like, hey, you can come stay with us. Where we were living at the time, we had an extra bedroom. And we're like, you can come stay and we'll cook for you. And I can also finally get to see your skink up close. And they were like, yeah, you want to see the skink? We got a skink. And it was like this big old 2-pound female skink. Anyway, long story short, it turns out the skink likes apple juice. So we got some apple juice concentrate because we had some in the freezer and we thawed it out. And the skink loved this particular apple juice concentrate so much. She smiled and I fell in love. I have a picture somewhere. I'll have this out one day. I'll have to see if I can find it of the happiest skink. They were like, what kind of apple juice is that? We need to get that for Dad. Oh, because she likes it so much. So we gave him the rest of the apple juice concentrate so she could have it for the rest of her trip. She was so beautiful, y'all. That's when I fell in love with skinks. I didn't think I liked skinks before that, but she was absolutely just the sweetest thing. Again, not a major reptile person, nothing against them. It's just I thought that they weren't really my thing until I met this gorgeous, kind, sweet, affectionate skink. So anyway, that's what it reminded me of. Let's see. CB was talking about dance is very useful for them for coping. Excellent. I love to dance. I love to do karaoke in my living room and dance along to songs. Oh, YouTube is so useful for karaoke stuff. I'm so grateful. But before that, Tom had gotten me oodles and oodles of CDs of karaoke from. Yeah. So what y'all may not know, although I thought we've mentioned it before, in the Philippines, when we lived there 20 years ago, karaoke was so popular that there was literally a devoted channel in the country, the TV, of just karaoke. 24/7 karaoke. And like literally anywhere we went, if there were employees in a break room, they were on the karaoke channel, which was just a broadcast channel, and they were all singing along. This is like an entire national pastime, and that's where I'm like, gosh, this must be a really interesting pastime to do. And I started doing it, and I was like, oh, this is actually fun. This is fun. Now, granted, the backgrounds to these karaoke in the Philippines made absolutely no sense. They were just random videos of people like walking through the park, people going swimming, had nothing ever to do with any song ever. It did not, even the pace of people walking or pace of people picnicking or whatever had nothing to match the pace of the song. It was just, here's a background, and then the little like color of the words would change, and it was not even necessarily timed well, but still everybody enjoyed it. And I thought it was so cool that it was an entire broadcast channel. So, and they only had commercials at the top of the hour kind of thing. And then it was like, because we're not going to interrupt the karaoke. It was great. I loved it. Let's see. Charlie says, I am now on chapter 4 of this outline-ish thingy and fleshed out another character. Excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. Maggie says, overworking and willfully driving myself toward unrealistic goals is how I cope. It is totally unrealistic and sometimes unhealthy. Like today, I have 4 projects. Okay. I mean, obviously, you're doing fine with your unrealistic coping skills. But I want to point out, as someone, oh, where is it? Ah, this one. So this one, yes, it is. This book was very helpful. ADD Friendly Ways to Organize Your Life, 2nd edition. Not sponsored. There was some very nice tips in here. Oh, that's where. Interesting. And one of them was about so you have your routine things, and it like brushing your teeth every day, if that's part of your routine, or walking the dog every day, or whatever. So you have the things that you do every day without fail. I mean, everybody, when you get up, at some point you're going to go to the bathroom, right? I mean, so that's routine. Routine things do not count in your list of there are 5 things the ADD mind can accomplish any day. So, and it's just 5. It's only 5 things. So if going to work is one of them, that's one thing that you can accomplish that day. I went to work. Okay. But like, maybe you don't make dinner every day. Maybe it's just maybe 2 days out of the week you make dinner. That's one of those things. So now you got going to work, and then you got making dinner. Okay. It's not part of your routine things. This is something that, is not every day. So you only have room for 3 other things to put on that list. You cannot accomplish anything more than that. You will, if you try, you will probably start feeling frazzled. You may not accomplish it, and then you will beat yourself up. So think about your day in what 5 things can I accomplish each day, and prioritize them thus. Like, so you can't necessarily clean the living room every day. Well, maybe you can, maybe where it's like every day you just sort of look around the living room and you tidy it up. And some days that means you bring out the vacuum, and sometimes it doesn't. But if every day you look at the living room, you see how can I tidy it up, that then becomes part of routine. It doesn't count toward those top 5. But if it's only once a week that you clean the living room, that once a week cleaning the living room is part of that top 5 for that day. And you need to think about how you prioritize your day, because you can only accomplish 5 things. And look, I'm not saying it's fair that you can only accomplish 5 things, but I am saying it is accurate. So it's something to think about, of what are the 5 things that I can accomplish today. And then I'm going to try to accomplish different 5 things tomorrow, or maybe I'll have a layover. But if we accept these truths about ourselves, there's less room to get ugly about beating ourselves up about the things we did not accomplish. And that is where it is a healthier place to move to, where a more compassionate place. The healthy place to move to, eventually, move ourselves to, is a more compassionate, loving, kind place. So let's think about ways that we can move ourselves over to the more loving, compassionate, kind place. And one of them is just accepting, like, hey, my limit, my personal limit is, maybe it's not 5, maybe it's actually 6, or maybe it's only 3. I mean, I've definitely had whole months where it was like, it was amazing if I could accomplish 3 things in any given day. And one of those things invariably was like changing my underwear. I mean, you'd think it'd be routine, but it still was like, no, this is a priority or accomplishment. I've actually done it. So I'm just saying, like, let's be realistic about who we are on any given day, any given month, because it is better to appreciate the things we do accomplish than beat ourselves up over the things we've yet to do again for the umpteenth time. Oh, the melodrama. Who will I be without my melodramatic music? I know. I get it. So, and then CB listed it. Or, excuse me, not CB. I'm so sorry. Maggie listed it. One video, March Hold My Coffee 2021. Oh, I want to see that one. 2.
I like the title of it.
No, I love it. I'm like, yes, you have me. Where do I click? 2, horror launch day video. Ooh, is this a story or is this just welcome to the horror that is my life? I mean, it's still fun. 3, video segments for a writing the tree video. I don't know what this is, but I'm very interested. What is writing the tree? Is this a new writing technique? Boy, do writers really love whatever the latest technique is. I mean, like, are the latest thing, right? You know, there's the people who love technology and they're like, whatever the latest is, but like writers are like, what's the newest technique? Tell me all about it. I have a modified snowflake. It's called the snowflake waterfall.
Oh, God, Glory, I'm sorry. I
A little
love
too
your
close
voice.
to home there,
awesome.
huh?
I hope nobody feels attacked. I'm not trying to attack anyone. I'm just more like observing, like, it's kind of true, isn't it, y'all? And 4, edit 10,000 words today? No. Not all 4, although I want all of them. But maybe we could pace them out. Just throwing that out there. Okay. So, where are we? Are there? Laura says, sorry, we'll get back to it. I can't adopt a dog where I live because no fenced-in yard. Maybe I should save 2 so I can finally get one. Have to hold out till then, though. Agreed. You know, I don't know what the rules are where you live, but did you know that dog shelters are always happy to get volunteers either to take pictures of their animals that they can post on social media or even just to take their animals out for pettings because dogs are social creatures. And, you know, you might be able to like essentially just go visit, you know, dog shelters or animal shelters just to pet dogs and cats. I'm just throwing this out here. Just throwing it out for everyone, even if you have a dog or cat at home. Of like, you know, they often have like a little mini park yard thing so you can actually take the animal out to and pet them freely in the fresh air and it's lovely. And I'm just saying, it's a thought. So, you know, so anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Okay, Tom, what had you clicked on? I don't. To write or to research writing, that is the question. Yes, agreed. Yes.
So last night I procrastinated writing by watching 911 episodes on Hulu because I needed to know how a 911 operator would talk to someone on the phone. Because my scene in my book was like someone's having a baby at home on accident or isn't going to labor. How would that conversation go? What would the information be? So I wanted to be realistic.
Okay,
so that was how I put it away.
I also just want to point out, in case this is useful, there is something called the Merck Manual. It's MERCK, right? Is that Merck Manual?
I think so.
And and there's like a second Merck Manual that I believe is definitely like the entire thing is online. And it is like called like Where There Are No Doctors or something like that.
Yeah.
And it is essentially for people who find themselves in isolated rural areas of how you can do emergency triage, including, yes, birthing babies, relocating shoulders, and all sorts of like, you know, because you name it, it can happen in the wild, right?
And it is free on their website, by the way.
It's free.
Okay.
And it has everything bulleted. So if you're like trying to help a lady give birth while waiting for the ambulance, it is at least tells you like, this is the basic info in a very easy to read, very highly bulleted with pictures option. I just want to recommend that for anyone for any reason, not just for writing, but I'm saying you could. So
Yeah, so I was watching the show and I was like, I couldn't find a show with exactly a baby giving birth. But then I remembered that my really good friend from church, she's married to a cop. So I sent her a Marco Polo last night. She was sleeping, and she sent me back one this morning. It was like, well, Joe hasn't had to do that, but we have a friend who used to be a 911 operator, so I'm gonna get in touch with her, and then I'll let you know what it goes. So, I guess it pays to have people in
look at that gorgeous
in your
baby.
life from all different types of walks of life, I guess.
Yes, it is useful. Yes, go out there if you're the type who can make friends. Go out there and make some friends. But yeah, I just want to point out like Merck Manual is available, and you can Google or search through the Merck Manual website for any medical emergency, and you've got a handy dandy way to like visually see all the like steps in order, and there are pictures. So it can be really useful even when you need the flavor text of how to describe the situation. As well as like
and also
EMT stuff.
And also don't forget, Hollywood for various reasons cannot often do it the actual professional, accurate way. If you do it the Hollywood way, half the time you'll either not succeed or you'll kill someone.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
Well, mainly I get off the computer, Cat.
Hello.
I mainly wanted to get the accurate, like, it's not like exactly what to do, but because that part wasn't going to be they were going to get there before that actually happened, but mainly like, do they say like, hello, this is 911, what can I do for you? Or like 911, what is the emergency? And then what the type of question, how they word the questions they need to ask to get your address and your, what your emergency is, and like tell you to go get like paper towels and hot water, or I'm kidding about that. Okay.
But that's actually in the Merck Manual. Is they will go through those step by step.
Yes.
Okay.
As well as they go through such fun and exciting things like a snake bite. What kind of snake bite? How do I identify the snake? And all sorts of stuff, including what happens when a sloth falls on you. That's in one of the Merck manuals. I remember that because when Dad was planning on moving us all to Ecuador, this was the mid-90s, he bought the Merck manual. Back then it was $20 because you're essentially paying the cost of printing. And like Dad offered me $20 to read the whole thing. And of course I will, at the time, it's like, I will do anything for $20. Like I'll memorize stuff. I will, whatever. So, and I'm like, wait, there's like instructions on if a sloth falls on you. Does this happen? And Dad's like, I have a friend in Costa Rica. Let me find out. And he took a week and a half to get in touch with this person because, spoiler, there was no phone within like a mile radius of where this person lived. But word got to them, and then they came back, and then they made the collect call. And the answer is yes, sloths do fall on people. And if you don't know how to help them, you could actually cause their accidental death. So if you are in the wild, it is important to know how to handle when a sloth accidentally falls on you. So yes, that's in the Merck manual. At least that used to be in the Merck manual, the international one. I'm just saying, these things happen. So Maggie says, writing the tree is an early 90s technique from a class I took. I'm very interested already. Let's see. Yes. Yes. The teacher's salary is not enough to live on. However, if you're not trying to live like an American, it is more affordable. Like if you're willing to live like locals, it is more affordable.
Our family also considered going to Ecuador.
I can't remember, was this before or after he wanted to move us to Sokolinsk Island, and we were literally within a month of moving to Sokolinsk Island in Russia, when there was a disaster, an environmental disaster. And we were like, well, we're not going. Dad's like, oh, we're not? And I'm like, no, we're not going to an environmental disaster.
They
And
closed
also,
off the island and
they had
removed
closed it
everyone.
off and didn't allow, and thank God. Like otherwise, he would have still tried to move us there. So, yeah. So our father did move. Back then, it was just I was like 9 months old, and Mom, and he did move us to Suriname, which is also in South America, 6 weeks before the revolution started, because this is the kind of timing this man had.
Mhm.
And yeah, so things got exciting. Anyway, that's something totally aside.
That's
So
another story for another time.
yeah. My first language was Dutch. That's why. Like, that's why it was Dutch. Was because that's the language.
So, Glory, I'm only bringing this up because you used Camille's timer. She just posted a new video on her channel.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? It's titled "Husband is Leaving Me Life Update."
Like a what?
It says "Husband is Leaving Me Life Update." That's her channel. Like,
oh my God!
Yeah. I just got the notification.
Like, it just posted today, and like show day, I don't do anything that's not Awkward Sibling Hour related today.
Yeah.
So
it has like a thumbnail that says "Goodbye for now," and then it says "My husband is leaving me life update." I hope it's not like actually leaving her. Maybe it's like I'm hoping like maybe he's just like found a job and he's like moving to a different state to like have a different job, you know, because sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I don't know, but I will check afterwards. And
oh, there it is. Laura posted.
It's clickbait. He's trucking out. Okay, and that like because like we had met him and he seemed like such a nice person, happy to be around both her and us. I mean, like we were standing outside in their yard, like 12 feet away when we met in person, but you know.
Okay, well, I'm glad that's the case, that he's trucking now, not like.
I mean, I understand
actually leaving.
Job-wise, it's yeah. Well, I guess we'll see if she wants that chicken tortilla soup we made.
Well, I only brought it up because you shared her timer. Otherwise, I would have just.
No, as I said, like on Mondays, I don't read hardly anything. I don't check hardly anything that's not related to the show. That and like, you know, so even eating, I only eat before the show so that I won't have blood sugar issues during the show. It's like it's all show related. It's just.
Well, it's a good thing my next book is releasing on a Tuesday, not a Monday. Then,
yeah.
Then you'll pay attention. No.
Yes. I mean, accurate. I really like. I'm just like the show's got to go. We got to do everything. And I was still like, honestly, today running behind. I had this weird anxiety dream about shopping in Ireland, and everything was either green or orange. And if you bought of one color, they wouldn't let you buy anything of the other color. And it was anyway. All I wanted was a butter warmer, an electric. But I don't know. It was odd. It was an interesting dream. Normally, my shopping dreams are very enjoyable. They're very much my. I woke up from a shopping dream. But anyway, okay. So coping. Does anybody have any particular coping skills, talents, tricks, tips that they would like to share?
I do a lot of online shopping.
Okay.
But I mean, it's not like a case of like fluffy bunny ears to wear.
I mean, but it could be.
I mean, it could be. Or like books and stationery supplies and you know, stickers, because you can't go wrong with that. Plus, it just makes you feel good when you get something in the mail that's not a bill.
That's true. And I mean, I imagine like online shopping can be useful because then you don't have to take physical time out of your day to like go travel to another location and then, you know, to a place that you're looking to buy something. And then it turns out they don't even carry that product at all. And then you have to go to another store. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the young people today will never know the drama that is like IRL shopping. So, Tom, do you have any coping tips, tricks? Anything you'd like to share?
Oh God. I
I
did
think that
yesterday.
means he's gonna tell us that he likes to dance the hula when he wants to avoid responsibility, right, Tom? Do the hula?
No, no.
It's awkward joke time. It's fine.
I mean, if I'm honest, right now, what I've been sort of studying up for coping, is more of. So I've dealt with most of my life sensation like there's always a restrictor on how quickly my brain will work, or brain fog and similar, and may have finally tracked down what in the world is going on, which in theory might just simply be that I do not get enough tyrosine in my diet, which is what your body turns into dopamine, which is what caffeine increases the amount you have. Because I noticed that if I drink coffee, and just actually a mild amount, like a cup of coffee in an hour and then another cup of coffee the next hour, by that third hour, I've got an hour or two where I feel normal. I can actually get stuff done. It's very strange for me. But even after a week or two of this, all of a sudden, I had to start upping how much caffeine I was taking to get a similar response. And it goes with some other problems I've had of being able to maintain this is very difficult. So I'm hoping that some supplements of tyrosine will actually give me some coping strategies, because it's really hard to get stuff done when you're not fully awake, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, Glory will tell you happily just how much of a champion sleeper I am and ready to take a nap anywhere.
I mean, if sleeping was an Olympic sport, Tom would be a contender.
And I'm starting to wonder if it's simply because I don't regularly have enough dopamine to be fully cognizant. So I'm hoping if I start supplementing that, then some other stuff will also work a little bit easier, like caffeine having the effect everyone else talks about it having on them, of waking up more easily. Because right now I can do 10 cups of coffee at once, and it'll be like, all right, I'm awake for 40 minutes. But so, I mean, one of the coping mechanisms is the eternal keeping up hope, working towards a better tomorrow. Because if today isn't making you really cheerful, you need to work towards a tomorrow that will.
Amen.
And so that kind of needs to be in the goals for your coping strategies. Is what will make your life easier and more enjoyable. So I mean, I was writing poems for about a week just because people seem to enjoy them, which is the opposite of what Gloria and I always heard growing up.
Yeah, we used to get grief for the poems we wrote.
And our writings.
Yeah. Like not everybody gave us grief, but the loudest people were the ones who gave us the most grief. And it's, the brain is structured to not value the compliments as much as it values the negativity.
7-1.
I mean, understandably, because this is how our species has survived this long. But it doesn't make for happy people. It just makes for survival, which, I mean, So that was like how I felt. And so like we would share our poems with each other. But we certainly were like, we'll never share it with like a general audience because people wouldn't like it, because there are so many people we were close to who were very vocal about how this is dross, this is crap. And so we believed them rather than understanding that they were bringing their own biases, their own personal issues that had nothing to do with our poems, but in fact, or our writings, it had far more to do with their own personal demons. and we were very young and inexperienced, and we just could not tell the difference. We did not understand that people would not set aside their own personal issues to give us an objective opinion, because they would say they had, and then they didn't. And now, like, we're looking back, talking to each other about this, going, oh, but now that I am like in my 30s, I'm like, oh, hold up. I can see where this person had a lot going on and how they were like definitely problematic, and yeah. So, honestly, that's actually been, I guess, kind of an inadvertent coping tip, is sometimes telling the story of, our missteps from our long time agos, like our childhood and adolescence and even our early 20s, telling each other, because like we're both safe people for each other, telling our stories about our memories of something, and then analyzing it though as if like we are the age we are now, about what do we know about the person who is saying this and how things don't quite add up, and like the two of us putting our head together trying to figure out what was really going on, because there's bits that don't add up. So that is actually something that we've been doing lately to cope with people in the now saying, oh, I enjoy your writing, I enjoy your poetry, I enjoy your stories, and me going, what happened to all that crap I was getting as a child and as a teenager and in my early 20s even? Wait, hold up. So like at one point I worked at a cell phone company in customer service. I was 19 years old, and a few months into that, I met the first person I ended up dating that I enjoyed, and we wrote a bunch of poetry, love poems. But like, so like the way customer service, I mean, I know a bunch of people have worked it, but like the way customer service works is you're hooked up, you're in the call queue, and the calls get distributed, everybody gets a turn, right? Everybody gets a call. So sometimes you're waiting there 5, 10 minutes, even 15 minutes between calls, between you finish with one and you get another. At least where I worked. It wasn't always. Sometimes it was like nonstop, but there were plenty of days where you would get a 5, 10, even sometimes a 15-minute break between calls. And in those moments, I would just let my mind wander, and then these, stanzas would come to me, these lines, and I would just scribble them down on little scrap paper. We were always given pads of paper in customer service so we could make notes, and so that we could then type our notes up onto that person's account, so that anybody who gets them the next time sees a case history of what's going on. But I would then also write up little poems, and I would hide them under my keyboard. And, the other people, we were in cubicles, but you could still see what people were doing to a certain degree. Some people could see what you were doing. And so, yeah, people were like, oh, what are you doing all the time? I'm like, oh, just writing stuff, And so word got out that and some of my coworkers started teasing me about being so young, because I was the youngest person in the entire department, and writing love poems. They knew I was dating someone new, and I would go to the bathroom, when you get your break, right? I'd come back and people are scurrying away from my desk, and I started getting paranoid because the poems that I'd folded up and put in under my keyboard would be moved. And I'm like, they're just reading them to then make fun of me, because they would kind of tease me about it. Like, oh, she's in love, she's writing poems, just like that. And I felt very embarrassed and mocked. But now, telling Tom the story again in full, I was like, hold up. People were like literally calling me away to go talk to other people. When I come back, the manager, my boss, is like quickly shoving stuff under my keyboard, and it's my set of poems that I had written that day. And she's not teasing me about it, but like, what is this? Like, there was like a whole like system by which people were getting me away from my desk so that other people can then read the poems out loud to each other, then put them back under. What? And I'm like, there is so much more here to unpack than I realized when I was 19 and 20 years old. So So that has been one thing that I've been doing lately as a coping mechanism of having this essentially incongruity between feeling like my poems were embarrassing or mockable, and now people saying how much they enjoy it or how they find it so inspiring. I mean, like one poem I read to a friend of mine who's a composer, and now we're working on an opera together based on this poem and other poems of a similar ilk about dissociative disorder. And, this is so different from the reactions I felt like I was getting all those years ago. Not from everyone. So, for instance, my psychologist would read them when I would come in for a session. I would have my stack of the journal entries and my poems and everything. She'd read them. And I used to actually write, if anything, I'd write as much as I could before our appointments so that I wouldn't have to actually talk to her much. So like there'd only be 20, 30 minutes left of our session. Because she would read everything first. And there were some that, she liked so much that at the end of our session, I'd go walk with her to the photocopier in the file room just so she could copy them. And at the time I thought, oh, she just wants to put them in my file. But now I'm like, she never actually said that. These are the ones that made her smile or that she teared up on. Were these just for her own personal copies? And now I'm starting to think that that's actually what it was. Just like going by my memories of what she had actually said and not said. And that's sort of like sometimes it is okay to rehash old memories as somebody who's older and more experienced than we were when it originally happened. And like essentially look for clues, look for more context clues now that, we have so much more experience than we used to. That can be a good, positive kind of coping mechanism. Just wanted to share that. What's going on?
See. So Maggie and Eva both worked Singular call centers.
Yes. Well, I worked for the predecessor, Cellular One. Singular eventually bought Cellular One.
I worked for Consumer Cellular.
Okay.
For like, I think 6 months. Then I had surgery on my abdomen, and then I never went back. And I'm okay with that. But the other call center I worked at was like this call center that works for like all these different companies. They do Apple product, like Apple customer service, even though no one's supposed to know, but everyone knows. They do like the Walmart stuff. They do like 1-800 flowers during Mother's Day. And then they do like customer satisfaction surveys for different car companies. I worked there for 3 long, horrible years. I mean, everyone who lives here is over 16 has worked there at some point in time. Like, it's the place to go because they always need someone.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So, what should we talk about next?
How about some of the coping strategies our parents developed to work with us?
Like, what do you mean?
Let me think, because of course the ADD hit and I didn't write it down, but we were talking about this over the weekend. There was a lot of things our parents did because we were autistic and our parents were autistic. And they went to school even to kind of learn how to be parents. Yeah. If you ask enough professionals, you'll come up with some ideas.
Right. Okay. So there is a known... Okay, the part about autism that is a communication disorder and a developmental disorder or an issue in development. This is where it shows up. This is where it becomes a disorder or a problem, if you will, or challenge. Okay. So, and I thought it was so interesting the way it was described in that article about zebra finches. They were able to give zebra finches autistic brains, at least some of them. And then they tried all sorts of experiments, and it was really interesting to see what happens. So really what it is with the zebra finches, and it is true also of autistic children, the way zebra finches learn their melodies is they learn it from a mentor zebra finch. However, the ones that were given an adjustment to their brains, so their brains weren't working exactly the same, so it would be mimicking the autistic brain, they were not able to learn the melody from the mentor zebrafinch. Like, you've only got so many days with a mentor, and then the mentor's like, I'm moving on, I'm going to teach someone else. And the zebrafinches, the autistic ones, were not able to learn the melody in the time period of a couple days that zebrafinches normally give to the younger ones to learn the songs. What actually ended up happening then was that the autistic zebrafinches started making up their own melodies and really were all over the place in their melodies. However, the new zebrafinches coming through that were not given the additive to make their brain act in an autistic manner were then learning these new songs. And so songs are radically changing in the zebrafinch community. Okay. However, when they then gave a new round of zebrafinches the additive to make their brains act in an autistic manner, those zebrafinches were also having difficulty learning from any of the zebrafinches, both the autistic ones and the neurotypical ones, how to learn the songs. Okay. So I like this way of explaining this is where the autism, neurotypicals consider the autism a problem, but I'm going to be honest with you, even autistics consider the autism a problem. So here's what it is. If I say to a child, look both ways before you cross the street. Neurotypical children, maybe you're only going to have to tell them that 2-3 times tops. Period. I'm not joking. A neurotypical child, you're only going to have to tell, especially if you explain, do you see the cars coming? They don't always see you because you are short. You are little. And so if you are trying to cross the street and, there's a car coming, they will not necessarily see you and they could hurt you. So always look both ways before you cross the street. And the child, especially if you have like maybe a little song that you have, they will learn it that day. And that's it. But the autistic child, you could tell them 100 times in 30 days. Always look both ways before you cross the street. Always look both ways, but whatever you've got, right? And they will still, on the 60th day, still not always remember to look both ways before they cross the street. Or maybe they still, no matter how many times you sing that song and you remind them, will not look both ways. It is not that they do not understand. They do understand what you mean, but their brain does not learn the mimic behavior from another human being. However, if you make this a bear telling them, if you make it a cartoon character, or if they just read it in a book because they can finally read, they are far more likely to remember to look both ways. Maybe they saw a cartoon that demonstrated this and there were no humans in the cartoon. It's going to stick with them a lot easier. Autistic brains have a challenge learning from mentors. And when I say mentors, I mean people who look like us, people we're surrounded by. So this is where the problem is. Because humans, being pack animals, primarily learn from mentor adults. So how do you then do it? Well, that's where the puppets come in, and that's where the drawings come in, and the cartoons come in, and all these other things come in to help. And so our parents were then, now, is it impossible to get through to an autistic child? No, it's not actually. I'm going to tell you that. But it takes so much more persistence. What would normally take 3 times to teach a neurotypical child to look both ways before they cross the street is going to take, get ready, it's going to take approximately more like 1.5 to 3 years of consistent repetition for them to always remember to look both ways before they cross the street. And most adults, let alone parents, no matter how much they want to do well by their children, are going to find this level of consistency difficult to maintain. It's not that they don't love their children. It's not that they do not want to help their neurodivergent child. It's just that most humans are not that good at repetition. It's just how it is. Repetition has not been required for the human race, the species, to survive. So this has not been something that our brains, our DNA is coded for. And it is what the autistic brain needs in the formative years. So, and it doesn't stop when we stop being children. It continues. It is just how the autistic brain is. We do not learn easily from other humans. I know. I've been trying to teach Tom to cook for, what is it, like the last 6 years now? 7?
At least.
I just remember, I can still distinctly remember you yelling in the kitchen at the previous apartment of how you're never going to learn to cook eggs. All of these egg murders are on both of our heads. You know, you meaning me too. And how you're just not meant to learn to cook. And I'm like, challenge accepted. I was the top of my class in the education program. You have the best teacher there is around, and she is here devoted to you for one-on-one teaching. I'm not giving up anytime soon. And I have succeeded. It has taken a lot longer. Normally, teaching someone to cook, honestly, only takes 4 to 5 months of daily repetitious education. And that includes teaching the mother sauces. That includes teaching international cooking techniques, like in order to make sushi rolls. There's a lot of different techniques that are not the same as European cooking techniques to teach. To teach like the gamut of everything I know of cooking, which I've learned in about 25 years of cooking, normally would only take about 5 months of intensive daily education. And here we are, and Tom is still learning 6, 7, maybe 8 years in, because the learning time just takes longer. And also because what works best for the autistic brain is what we call in education discovery learning. You can Google that. It's discovery learning. It is a method by which you give the learner their own way of, like, all the materials they're going to need, and even the instructions on what they need to do the thing, so they learn the thing. And then you just let them go, including you just let them fail or whatever happens. And you offer this to them usually a minimum of 2 times in 1 week. And then you offer it to them 1 to 2 times each week for however many weeks it takes for them to learn it. And that is the ideal learning now that in the education world is perfect for children. Do we allow them this? Not necessarily, because we're trying to factory produce learners, and that is not how humans learn best, but that is how it's set up in the public education system. So I am doing it a little different. I'm truly giving Tom the discovery learning situation. So that means, like, if he doesn't want to make soup again, make the same soup again and again because the repetition is not interesting to him, we then do something else. We teach him based on how the learner wants to learn and what the learner wants to learn. It's more of a Montessori method. And it's very helpful for all learners, but particularly neurodivergent learners. Egg murders, yes. How many eggs did you murder, according to you, Tom? You remember?
Let's see. So the eggs actually started earlier than most of the other cooking.
Well, yes.
And that started by, I want to say 2009, maybe 2008, but at least for sure 2009.
No, because I was still at Miller Street.
Okay, when did you get to the house?
Well, I got to the house October of 2009, and that first year we weren't cooking because I was dealing with Mom, and we were trying to figure out what was wrong with Mom.
Okay, so 2010
honestly, late
to 2014.
Yeah,
it was probably a minimum of 1,000 eggs a year. So at least 4,000, maybe 5,000 eggs.
It was 7,000. I counted. It was 7,000 eggs that you considered murdered. If neither of us could stand to eat them. Sometimes even my mini dachshund was like, no. And
yeah,
it was 7,000 egg murders in about 4.5 years. Oh, and I was like, it's a good thing we live in America where the eggs are cheap. You're going to keep learning until you quit murdering them and you give them a happy ending.
So because of the zebra finches and us talking recently, what we've really come to understand is the issue with autistic learners and mentorship really comes down to masking. I mean, Gloria and I are very close friends. We still mask in our communications with each other because it's just hard to understand other people. It's just, for us, it's part of being human. And so any learning task where you deal with another human automatically induces masking, which takes away some thinking capacity
some of the
from
brain
the learner.
power.
Yeah, which automatically makes everything more difficult. So if you can get them in something where they're not having to mask, so reading a book, interacting with a puppet, not having to make eye contact with real eyes, helps a lot with mentoring. Hence, yes, even watching a bear is easier than a person, in a recorded video. Of at a certain point, it is what it is. You can either, what is it? You can be right or you can get your way.
You can get your way or you can be right, but you can't necessarily have both. Do you want your way or do you want to be right?
So when it comes to learning, for an autistic style, ways that don't require masking are always going to be quicker.
Yeah, I found that I've had some neurodivergent children have an easier time. So I had a mini dachshund, and she was very good with kids, particularly toddlers. She was so patient.
Very tolerant.
Very, incredibly tolerant, to the point I'm like, I'm worried this dog is a little too tolerant and is going to have back injury. A little too tolerant in my opinion. But she was, a really good dog. 14 out of 10. Good girl. And so with one neurodivergent child that I was babysitting for a little while, I had specifically, they were like, will you please bring the dog? They want to play with the dog. And I'm like, no problem. And I brought Cassie with me. And what they really want to do, the reason why this child wanted me to watch over them, was so that they could have the dog and read to the dog. They had recently learned to read a particular book that they liked, a picture book. And they wanted to read to Cassie. And Cassie was very willing to sit in their lap or sit next to them and, look in the general vicinity of the book. Well, I can't remember what happened. So the mother then comes back. It's time to go. And the child does not want us to go. But Cassie wants to stay with me. And so then I stood behind the child and said, oh, I totally want to stay with you, but we have to go. I have other errands I have to run, but I will be back. And the child really did look at go, oh, I understand, Cassie. You have things you have to do. What are your errands? I'm going to check the mail and maybe we're going to get some groceries and it's going to be a good day, but I will be back. I look forward to the next book you're going to read me. I mean, and that child was like, Mommy, we have to go to the library so I can get another book so I can practice for Cassie. And she's like, great. Well, they're going to go now. And so it wasn't like a tearful or emotional goodbye. It was, okay, you go do your thing because I have to go get another book, Cassie. And they found it much easier to interact with Cassie than interact with these two adults who were like, well, it's time to go. And it was just too much. So again, that's why I want to point out, it can just be very useful. I also found a very similar effect with Cassie. It was there was finally in my life one person, yes, a miniature dachshund, that I did not have to mask at all with. I could just be myself, and the dog was perfectly chill and cool with all of it. She was fine. Frankly, she actually was pretty tolerant of me not sharing my treats, but then she would give me this look, and I'm like, okay, you can have some. She negotiated with me, but on, non-confrontational terms, or very low confrontation terms. And I found it to be very transformative experience to have someone in my life, another person with their own mind and their own responsiveness, who I did not have to mask for, and I could just be myself around. And that was it was a watershed experience for me for about almost 15 years. To just be able to truly be myself around another living creature and them interact with me. And I would honestly recommend that for everybody as a coping tip. It was very helpful to be able to be myself around another living creature who, had their own opinions. Oh, Cassie would judge me. She did not like Queen, the band. She would get up and leave the room when I would play Queen. She did not feel that way about Aerosmith or The Who. She did not feel that way about most musicians, but Queen, she's like, I've just remembered I have to go. And
Jimi Hendrix was fine.
Yeah, she was fine with Jimi Hendrix. But she would literally leave and go to another room and sit until I was done listening to Queen. Every time for like years. So she certainly had her own opinions, and that helped because, like, here I'm dealing with another creature with their own opinions, their own interests, their own likes and dislikes, but I can be absolutely 100% myself. And that was like an amazing experience so that was why I always look forward to coming home to her, because here is one creature in this world, in this miserable, soul-crushing world, that I can just be myself, and they are happy for me to be me, but they would absolutely love it if I would also give them that piece of cheese. But it's not
also actually help you develop that skill of being considerate.
Yes,
because
definitely.
Wait,
she would give me cues.
Yeah, I was like, she just left the room while I'm doing. Why is it she only leaves for this? But also that, all right, it's actually okay if she wants to go do her thing, I will do mine, and then we can come back together. Again, that's all right.
Literally, I would finish playing Queen. I would turn it off and go, Cassie, I'm done. And then Cassie would, after a moment, I could hear her little shuffle, trot back in the room. And then I would go over and pick her up, put her on the bed or wherever I was, Because when I was on a desk, I would literally have a dog bed on the desk, so I could just put her there. So we can make eye contact. So I'm just saying,
Dachshunds like to feel tall.
They really do like to feel tall, more than most other dogs. So, I mean, you deal with it as you will.
Although, I mean, and Maggie, definitely understands.
Mm-hmm. We had a miniature poodle trained to be an emotional support dog for our eldest. She interacted more and easier with Mocha than her siblings. She still interacts better with dogs than people. Yes, I really do enjoy most dogs' company. But, I like a bunch of children's company, and not to sound creepy. Pedos have ruined it for the rest of us. But I find most children are happy of like, why don't you put your Legos together, show me the Lego thing that you like to do, and we'll watch some kids show you like, because I like most kids shows. And they're happy with that. They don't want more of me than that. Or, we'll color together while we watch one of your favorite cartoons. And if they're like, oh, I don't have a cartoon, I'm like, what is wrong with this child? But have you seen Rough Tweet and Dave? There's so much subtext. I don't know what's going on with Dave, but we really need to investigate what is the subtext about Dave. Are we saying things about China? I don't understand. There's stuff going on that I'm obviously missing, and I need somebody to explain the subtext of Rough Tweet and Dave. But I still enjoy the show. It's on Hulu.
I mean, is Dave just suffering from encephalitis?
What is going on with Dave? Why is Dave the dumbest brick in the room? Anyway. Sometimes I'm really amazed that Dave can operate that car. Anyway, the child could say, YouTube, I took a bad turn. YouTube. Yep. Yes. Hide and seek is fun. All sorts of hiding things. So that's another coping mechanism. And then I would recommend to people. Now, so the reason why I thought this episode would be useful to people, and not just neurodivergent folks, is because when I was in the education program, I was a K-8. My program was to teach kindergarten through 8th graders. And I was a general ed, but with a concentration in English and science. So I was getting a specialty in those, and technically my real minor was in self-efficacy. The kind of empowerment when you're like, okay, I want to learn this thing. Let me go about learning this thing. There are people who like, I wish I could learn it, but I don't know nothing about it, and I don't even know where to start. And so they throw up their hands and they go and they do something else. And self-efficacy or a self-efficacious person, instead of throwing up their hands and going on and never learning the thing they want to learn or never doing the thing they want to do, a self-efficacious person is, oh, well, I have no idea, but I know I could go to the library, I could ask, or I could Google it and get started in my research. They think of themselves as, well, I may not know how to do it, but I know how to get started, like Google, for instance, or talking to someone who could help you, like a librarian, because librarians are information technology experts. They don't have to know the thing. They just need to know where to find it. That is the work of a librarian. And so that is what somebody who knows how to go find the information to then teach themselves or to manage their own learning, that was like essentially my real minor. And that is one of the things that we learn since that program, the program I was in, had a serious special education thread of curriculum throughout. And so, and special education is not what we think of necessarily as, oh, you know, the kids with emotional disorders or Down syndrome or autism, or, you know, we're thinking of what some people, not everybody, but some people might term lower performers. People who are not necessarily going to graduate high school with a traditional degree or certificate, but people are going to go through a different track. So when we think of SPED or special education, that's often what people think of. However, where special education is also is the other side of the spectrum too. The children who have what we call in the industry higher IQ, or they have some exceptional abilities. And so what we called them all was exceptional children, because they are the exception to the norm. So if you think of like the bell curve of students, of learners, and everybody is in this bell curve, but the norm is going to be that middle major part of the curve, but then you've got the ends, right? There's much less in there. They're still there. There's still children there. And that was exceptional learners. So in the sub-program of exceptional learners that I was in, what we learn is accommodations we make for our exceptional learners, on both sides of this bell curve, is useful for all our students, not just our students on one end or the other of the bell curve. These techniques that are helpful for some students, if they are actually a genuinely good technique, they are helpful for all students. So instead of just doing accommodations for our exceptional learners, incorporate these accommodations for all your learners, because it's useful for everyone. And that is what I want to point out about these things that are helpful for some people are actually helpful for a lot of people. And I feel that way about a lot of these coping skills. While yes, in theory, neurotypical people do not have as serious a need for as many coping skills as, so for instance, I've had a lot of need for coping skills. It is still useful when the going gets tough, when the, crap hits the fan. It is still very useful for neurotypicals. And in fact, if anything, they feel a bit more lost and set adrift because they're now in the thick of it and they don't have a huge array of coping skills to pull from because they haven't needed it up till now. Versus those of us who have been struggling all along are like, oh, have you seen my shed of coping tools? My she shed is enormous. It's got an annex. CB says, I've tried being self-efficacious, but the problem in this dopey country is, one, the librarians don't know anything. That's fair. And two, Google sucks for specific research. I drove myself crazy with research. CB, if you would like one more librarian to give it a try, I would be happy to help and see if we can find at least something about the information you're looking at. And it may simply be that some information is not yet readily available. Because what I have found several times is studies have literally not yet been done about the things that I have interest in. But if it is possibly out there, you and I can definitely look and do what we can. There are ways we can even get access to certain articles of study that are behind paywalls, ResearchGate is a great way to actually get in touch with specific researchers, and they have the right to directly send us their studies so that we can read it without having to go through a paywall. So I'll be happy to help you try to get through these glass ceilings that you've been hitting in your research of whatever you've been trying to research. Just let me know. So where are we?
Should we also? You want to go over one we were talking about just before the show started about why you only talked with one parent for a while, and what the other parent had to change about their parenting style?
Oh, we are talking about mom and dad, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Why not? They dealt with, two very autistic children.
And they were autistic themselves, so. Okay.
I mean, that is a hard combination.
Yeah. Yeah, in our family we called it stubbornness, or stubborn-headed. Okay. So the issue with trying to teach an autistic child, like myself, is you keep repeating yourself and they're still not learning the simple thing you're trying to communicate to them. And so the approach Dad took originally, and this was very antithetical to the current psychology at the time for teaching children in the education world. They're rather against it actually, but the approach Dad took was he would wait till I came to him with a problem, and then we would discuss the problem together, and we would come up with together possible solutions, like 2 or 3, limit right there. And then I would go out into my world and see if any of those solutions worked. And if one of them worked, great. I would follow up with him later and say, oh, hey, remember that thing we talked about, this one? Yeah, that actually works, so everything's fine. But if not, I would come back and go, so your ideas, the 2, 3, they did not work. And he's like, back to the drawing board. Let's figure out, tell me what happened or what didn't happen. And then let's stick our heads together and we'll figure out some new possible solutions to the problem. And then, we keep doing this again and again. But essentially, I was the one who was driving this rather than him. Because I would, anytime he would lecture me, I would just tune out and ignore him. And he knew this was true because he used to do it to his father. He would just tune out anytime his father started lecturing. And he told me this, so he's like, I understand you're ignoring me. I can see it in your face. Like, what did you say? Usually, and I mean, there was more a long pause, apparently, of a minute or two, and he's just staring at me and like, oh, what? It's like, yeah, I haven't talked for 2 minutes. I'm like, oh. Can I go now? What did I say?
My daughter does the same thing. I'll talk to her, and then I'm like, what did I just say?
Right.
And then to see, check in, like, hey, so what did I just say? She'll be like, okay. I don't know what I say. And then she'll say something I said 5 minutes ago. I'm like, all right, well, this isn't working. Let's try this again later.
Exactly. So that was middle school. Mom, okay, so what the backstory on this is the apartment complex we were living when I was 14 years old. It was a big complex, and there was this one spot how these apartments would have these little fenced-in, 6-foot-high fenced. You can't call it a yard; it's a postage stamp. What do you call that? It's 6 feet by 6 feet if you're lucky. Little, mostly paved area, and there's a little grass in the corner. You know what I'm talking about, right? There was in the corner of this one spot that I could stand, and the way the sound would bounce from the clubhouse all the way down, 3 apartment buildings down, which was the clubhouse. And anybody talking outside the clubhouse in this spot, with the sound would bounce in such a way that if I stood in that one corner, I could hear it clear as a bell. So, but they didn't know about it. I didn't tell anybody. And they went down for a walk, and they stopped right there by the crepe myrtle tree, whatever. And Mom was like, how is it that she listens to you? She never listens to me. You have this rapport with her. I don't understand. I try to be nice to her. She just ignores me. She doesn't even care. And he's like, okay, well, I can tell you this thing I do, but you're not going to like it. And she's like, what do you do, bribe her? He's like, no, although that helps. But And he told her pretty much what I just told you, that this was his approach, which, I mean, I was like, man, that's fair. That's honest. That's what it works. And he's like, so you can do it, but you can't lecture her. She will just ignore you. You have to actually converse and like let her be the one to set the conversation. And then she will talk to you. And you can't make it like a stakes thing where there's high stakes. It's just, hey, can I tell you about this thing? What do you think? What can I possibly do for solutions? It was an outdoor walk-in closet because that's where we kept Tom's bike. So you're absolutely right. Maggie knows. So, and he explained it to her. And that is honestly exactly what happened. So what ended up happening was Mom like took me for garage sailing and said, you're 14 now. Why don't you tell me all the things you want to do when you grow up? And I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. She's like, well, tell me what you used to want to do. The 5 jobs. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a librarian. I wanted to be a rock band photographer. I wanted to be a business owner. And I wanted to be a writer. And my mother said, well, we went and talked to the librarians, and this was back in the early to mid 90s. This was 1993. And the head librarian, Dotsie Fitz, said a librarian has to die to get a job anywhere in library land. Anywhere in the country, a librarian has to die to get a job, and nobody's leaving their job willingly. So that's probably not a good career path. Mom was like, okay. And then Mom was like, well, to be a teacher, you're going to have a bachelor's degree at least. And that's going to take time and money. So that'll be a while. She said, rock band. I was like, like Rolling Stones. I want to take the pictures like in Rolling Stones. She talked to Uncle Mark, her brother, who had inherited our grandfather's, all his photography equipment. And he went and consulted with a bunch of photography companies as like locally in Detroit, or Lansing, and as well as photography supply stores about what you need to be a Rolling Stones photographer. And they all agreed that we did not have the equipment, that Uncle Mark did not have the appropriate equipment to do modern rock photography. So Mom's like, okay, so that's not on the board right now. To start my own business. And Mom's like, we don't have any money to start your own business. But I can help you with being a writer. And that is how we went on a 9-month odyssey and published our own cookbook. As well as that was essentially the start of my small business. And that was how we paid rent for months and months, was just selling one at a time these cookbooks all over North Mississippi. And that was, she's like, this is the one thing I can help you with. So that is what we did. And that was how she got me to actually spend time with her and talk to her about just all the things that I was interested in the world. But that technique really worked for my parents, at least with me, which is wait till they come to you with problems. And then you try to come up with ideas for solutions together. And then they go off and then they see which ones work. And if some don't work, they come back and we get feedback. And then we try, back to the drawing board. So let's see. CB says, first, wrestling promoter / booker. 2, second, composer. 3, choreographer. Well, okay. Eva, what she wanted to be when she grew up was 1, a wealthy wife. 2, a vet. 3, a writer. Stephanie, do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Yes.
Go on. If you want to share. If you don't want to share, you don't have to.
I will share. Not very exciting.
That's not exciting.
Okay. When I was in 3rd grade, I wanted to grow up to be an English teacher. And then when I was 16, I told my friend that I was going to be a writer. So see, not that exciting because this is what I'm doing now. I teach these lovely children when they allow me to teach them, and I write books. So, and I say allow because
yes,
it is allowing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Agreed. Laura says, I want to be an Egyptologist, a botanist, and an X-Wing pilot. Oh, all those sound amazing, but for very different reasons. So, Laura, does that mean that you really like that? What was it, that Agatha Christie book, Death on the Nile? Because isn't there an Egyptologist in that?
Yeah.
So Okay, Megan, I wanted to be a writer first and foremost. I also wanted to be an archaeologist and a fashion designer. These all sound like great ideas for professions or jobs.
I really like history. And so, one point when I was a little bit older, going to college, I was gonna major in history and work in the museum, and that didn't really work out. But like, I enjoy reading about history. But yeah, they didn't work out. It's okay.
Laura,
And my kids
there's
aren't.
a movie. There's technically 2 movies of Death on the Nile. So I've already watched the 1970s one with Mia Farrow. Would definitely recommend. The fashions are amazing. And Kenneth Branagh's supposed to be one day eventually releasing the Death on the Nile with Dawn French, and I think Jennifer Saunders is also in it. That's supposed to be coming out if, like, they keep pushing back the release date, so we'll see. So I just want to point out, like, you don't have to read the book. You can just enjoy the movies. I mean, I'm just gonna giggle. I have gotten to be everything I wanted to be, all those 5. I've even been a rock musician photographer, where I was the band's photographer, like, listed. I was on their tab at all their venues. And I got, when no photography was allowed, I was still allowed to take every picture I wanted to. I was doing some, like, really amazing stuff, and that was super fun. But yeah, I have been every one of those, and that's why I'm now at this point where it's like, hey, y'all, I am successful by child standards. Maybe I could share some of what I've learned with y'all. Charlie says, 1 writer, 2 translator for the UN, 3 priest, 4 monk. So what is the difference between a priest and a monk other than...
Well, priest deals with
socializing?
people.
Okay.
Well, a priest deals with people. A monk just does religious research.
Oh, okay. So religious scholar is is the same as a monk.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was sort of like the Jesuits, as they did religious scholarly research, but they were still priests. So I don't know. Like, I find
Jesuits are just weird, Glory. Jesuits
I
are
like
just
the
weird.
Jesuits. Are my favorites, mostly because they're, like, sassy. Anyway,
they are.
At one point, I also thought of becoming a nun. There's a lot of different kinds of nuns. I've met only a few. But the ones I've met, I liked. Most of them. He says by middle school, it was writer, teacher, traveler. And by high school, it was... Is that home ed?
Just homed.
Home?
Fed,
and writer. Okay. So she wanted to be a pet writer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, what you're working on now.
Yeah. I am a pet. CB says, I also thought of becoming a music teacher at one point. CB, since you did mention composer, I am part of a new music Zoom group that if you are interested in new music at all or just hanging out with other composers, you're welcome to join us on Zoom. They meet twice a week. And if you are interested, let me know. And I'll get you that link. So, ditto for any other composers, especially that are interested in new music compositions or new music musicians who just like to play new music. The Everett, who y'all have met before, friend of the show, runs the group twice a week on Monday nights and Thursday afternoons. The Thursday afternoon one is for our European friends, so they're more likely to be able to come because of the scheduled hour time zones or something. So that is one of the other things, like, we did want to talk about is for coping is this whole thing with gossip versus backbiting. But Glory, how is gossip a coping mechanism? Let me tell you. Okay, so there's actually been a fair amount of empirical studies done in the last 20 years about the effects of gossip in local social groups and larger geographic communities. Because there used to be this belief that all gossip is bad. But the problem with that is not necessarily true, but there needed to be a distinction between the negative type and the positive type. And so there is another word for the negative type, and it's called backbiting. And that is where another person who is not present in that conversation, their reputation is maligned, or even we could say murdered, by the people who are present. And there is nobody there to defend this not available person as their reputation is being attacked. And that is the negative type. And so I want to make sure everyone understands the distinction. Gossip, on the other hand, is not backbiting. Gossip is the act whereby two or more people discuss the behavior of someone, whether it is a celebrity or someone in town or just somebody they know, or maybe someone only one of the two people knows, and it can be a group of people discussing some behavior. And what the conversation evolves around is, what do we as a group think of the behavior of this other person? So again, celebrity gossip has been very useful in communities to be able to talk about essentially a behavior that people may actually exhibit, such as adulterous cheating, divorce, giving up their adopted children because their child turned out to be autistic, whatever.
Wait, who did that?
Oh, you didn't hear about that? It was a YouTuber family. Anyway, it was very upsetting.
Oh, wait, I did hear about that.
And that's how I got involved in AuthorTube, because, honestly, it actually offset. I did not get involved in AuthorTube for an extra month or a month and a half because I was too busy reeling from. I was so triggered. I was so upset about it. Because they blamed me autism. It's like, oh, no. Also, adoption is forever. That doesn't mean you have an optional child. Anyway, I'm going to get off that. So, but it's where people are discussing a behavior somebody has done, and what do we as a group think of it? And the purpose of gossip, the positive benefits of gossip, is for that social group to figure out what does that social group find acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior, so that no one in the social group will be surprised if they behave in a way that the social group is not okay with. Because everybody needs a supportive social group. Everybody. That's why I'm trying to stress that we as AuthorTubers really need to collaborate more together. And I don't mean necessarily making a story together, but I mean collaborate, get to know each other, spend off-camera time with each other as possible, and really at least view each other as colleagues. So form a community. And so I wanted to point out that gossip, let's see, Charlie's I miss dishing with the girls. It was so much fun. Yes, exactly. And that is actually where studies have found that celebrity gossip has been very useful to local social groups and communities, because they're able to discuss naturally occurring behaviors that is about not somebody it could actually affect in that social group. So the things that celebrities do, they fall in and out of love, they move on before they have a divorce, they do all the things that regular people do too. They have surprise pregnancies, all of the above. Some of them have surprise pregnancies and everybody's like, wait, but your sexuality. And it's oh, it's complicated now. So all of these things are definitely fodder for gossip, but it is useful for social groups to talk about in order to figure out what are their boundaries as a community, as their little social group, what is acceptable behavior and what is unacceptable behavior. And it's very important, I think, for neurodivergent people to understand that. So when I understood that, it was oh, I shouldn't feel uncomfortable when people are gossiping, say, about something that someone in OK Magazine did, because what I'm really getting out of this is these people are discussing what they actually find acceptable and unacceptable among behaviors among their friends. Oh, this is actually interesting. So now I can actually speak up and say, well, I think we should understand what they did, or nope, it's not okay. I mean, did you hear? I researched it, and such he lied so many times, and then she was only dating this because that was his best friend, all that. You can actually discuss it. My mother and I told my mom about this. This was so many years ago when I read this study. And I told my mother about it. And then from then on, we started gossiping about all these books she would read. Like she would read like these fictionalized biographies of Cleopatra. And every chapter or two, we'd go walking around the walking track outside my house. There was literally a walking track across the street. And she would like just dish on all of the crazy stuff with Mark Antony, whatever his name is, and Caesar, and then this was happening, and then that, such and such didn't know, and then Caesar's wife was like, get your butt back here, and, you know, all of Rome was demanding, and I'm like, oh, no, then what happened? And then we discuss what we think of everyone's behaviors, and was it morally okay, or was it like, well, under the circumstances, but normally I would say it's not okay. We would then essentially gossip about what we find socially acceptable and unacceptable about their behaviors. And it can be a bonding experience that is a positive thing. So I wanted to also point out this is a useful coping mechanism for everyone to participate in. And please keep in mind, gossip can actually be important, both for bonding and for understanding what is the social group's acceptable and unacceptable behaviors. But backbiting is not acceptable. It is a negative, destructive behavior where merely somebody's reputation is being attacked, but they have to live with the consequences, not all the people who said ugly things that, again, are unfounded. Yeah. And that is the difference. I just want to also just make clear these definitions are understood. Gossiping is important and can be a bonding experience. Backbiting is a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad thing to ever do, and I hope none of us fall into any traps, but if we do, please apologize and make amends so we can all move forward. Again, I'm not subtweeting anyone or whatever it's called. I'm not thinking of anybody. I just want to just say, like, on the record, this is what I think. And also, please feel free to call me on something. I'm not trying to make these mistakes, but hey.
If you ever want to know how efficient is Glory at life skills, back when she read this, she was going through the education degree. And she was, you know, a few years older than the rest of the people in the program. But when she found out that's what gossip's for, she started every day recording The Soup with Joel McHale.
I had TiVo. Yes.
And then would watch, so she didn't have to watch all the shows.
Oh, God, please, not these reality shows. They're so vacuous, I just can't. But The Soup would give you the highlights every week. So I would be up and up on all the conversations.
And suddenly, she was just friends with everyone.
Oh, I had so many social allies and so many friends because now I was up on all the shows. So we could gossip about everything was happening on Love Island or whatever, you know.
But we then saw this same thing play out, you know, last year with everyone gossiping about Tiger King. Mm-hmm. Everyone talking about how they felt about all these different social situations that happened in this, you know, crazy semi-documentary. Mm-hmm. There was so much to go, all right, I have never been in this situation. I don't think you've ever been in this situation, so we're not talking about each other.
Right.
But if it were to happen, here's how I think it would be better handled.
Right.
You know, that way you can feel more safe and comfortable with the person you're talking and gossiping with, you know where you both stand. You know what you can go to them for support and what maybe find someone else to help you support. Right. In a situation. And that brings down everyone's anxiety. Because anxiety is fear of the unknown and the detriment to your life because of it. Mm-hmm. And so if you can kind of predict future interactions based on, you know, previous, that without any, you know, side effects. Mm-hmm. And that is what gossip's for. Just like what is talking about the weather for. Talking about the weather is a easy way to ascertain somebody's current mood. Mm-hmm. So that you can very quickly sync and see, like, are they in a happy mood? Let's talk about happy things. Are they in a bad mood? Then let's talk about sad things. But you don't have to worry about going into the conversation at the other energy level and then just making a, you know, friendship less friendly. Mm-hmm. That's why we talk about the weather. That's why you do all these weird little things that are like, why do humans do it? Why do we repeat what someone just said? Because we're acknowledging we listened to them and this is what we heard. Mm-hmm. And occasionally people will go, that's not what I said. And they're like, well, what did you mean?
Yeah. And again, I think that's also like the usefulness or one contextual usefulness of fandoms. Of like, so you know, I am breathlessly awaiting the final episode of season 1 of WandaVision. And I mean, anybody wants to talk about WandaVision privately, because again, I do not want to ruin it for the people who haven't yet watched it. They're waiting for the whole season to finish before they binge it. I get it. But it's like, oh no, let me know when you want to dish. I would happily discuss WandaVision and we can bond over WandaVision. Or Doom Patrol. I just finished watching both seasons of Doom Patrol. Who wants to dish? Let me know. We can have a Zoom chat on that. Of like, that is the usefulness of a lot of these shows, is you can gossip, you can dish about these and bond over it. And it's something I want to encourage the AuthorTube community to also look at. How can we do this? Let's find ways to bond and gossip over the shows we like, over the documentaries we like, or just over whatever, you know, is going on. What do you think? What do we think about all of this? It can be quite useful, and it's a lovely, warm experience to have where you're not discussing mutual people you know. I haven't started watching Young Rock. Isn't there only like 1 or 2 episodes out so far?
Yeah, I think there's only 2 or 3.
It looked interesting, and I was curious to give it at least a couple more episodes before I start watching to see if I'm into it.
And I mean,
I haven't watched it either.
Okay.
I was saying, Dwayne Johnson's, honestly, like, I was a punk as a kid, so I'm curious to, like, oh, really? Go on.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I enjoyed, what was it? Everybody Hates Chris?
Yes, I very much enjoyed Everybody Hates Chris.
I'm wondering if it's like, I mean, obviously it's when The Rock is younger, but I'm just wondering, like, is it going to be as colorful in language as Everyone Hates Chris? Is that a good way? Is that a good way to put it? Colorful in language.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let me take notes down. I may use this in the future.
Yeah. But yeah, let's look at these things for what they are. And so, yes, gossiping, whether it's about our favorite shows or the latest celebrity behaviors, is a useful experience both for bonding as well as for understanding what are the acceptable social parameters in your social group. It's a very nice thing to know before, so you don't like step into a quagmire by accident.
And I mean that actually.
No, go on.
That actually, I would say, like, and we actually see that in, I think, like, the first 2 or 3 episodes of WandaVision, even, of these are a new group of people for Wanda, all the women in town, and she's not sure how to interact with them, so she's just sort of playing the quiet game.
Right.
And some people's, like, side talk to her,
mm-hmm.
so she better ascertains what's their views, and that they're also in a similar boat.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually easy for anyone, neurotypical or divergent, to make friends. We're not mind readers.
No,
so
no.
There's a lot of, coping strategies that their main goal is to better understand other people.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like, these are the skills. And they are useful skills to develop, to practice. And so, for instance, the let's dish, that is a very useful skill to have anytime you're making, friends with a new social group. Especially to figure out, will I find an easy time working within this group? Of socializing within this group. Do they mirror similar social norms as I have? Do they feel about divorce the same way I do? Or is it a little bit different? Or is it a lot of bit different? I can't say I'm surprised. Yes. I mean, yeah. Yeah, when should we have a Zoom snack? Tomorrow? Sometime mid-afternoon.
I'd be okay with it. Like, tomorrow afternoon, your time tomorrow afternoon?
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously.
Unless, I mean, like,
That was a dumb question.
Like 3 p.m. our time, usual.
so that's like what, noon for Steph?
1.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm like,
ask me.
1
Time zones work?
p.m. 1 p.m. Steph time.
1 p.m. Steph time.
All right. I will not be there in person. I'll be running around.
When do you want to do it?
We could do it on a Wednesday.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Charlie has a stream on Wednesday. I could do it on Thursday.
Okay.
There you go. Yes, I can do Thursday. During the afternoon, anytime.
Have you checked your calendar to make sure?
Oh, shut up, Corey.
You made such a pretty planner. What does it say?
I have nothing planned on Thursday. Yes, I do. Damn it. You know what I'm doing on Thursday, guys? I am going to sit in a hospital chair to get an infusion for my MS medication.
Oh,
How could I forget? How could I forget?
We have something Thursday. Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
What
got
do
our vaccine. That's our first vaccine shot is Thursday.
Yay!
Yay! At least I hope so. God. Yeah.
There's not a good day. Just pick a day and we'll see who comes, right? There's always something. Friday is
That's the whole point of it being
Friday
snacks.
on Charlie's
It's
channel. Saturday.
who
we can
shows
do it
up, who doesn't.
Saturday.
There's no judgment.
Maybe that's what we should do. Of like, hey, who wants a snack?
I'm hungry. Let's have a snack.
Right. Just every day. Who's going to show up? Who knows? Yeah, this week's a little crazy, huh? I mean, it's the start of the pre-Camp Nano. It's the month before.
It's prep time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should probably go get some more MREs for you.
What is March called? Because I know October is called Preptober, as you prep for Nano.
Right.
So what do you say for March?
It's parchment.
Parch?
Did you just make that up, Tom?
For March?
Did you make that up just now?
Yes.
Yeah. Or it could be
okay.
Parmano. Parmarno, I guess, actually be better.
I don't feel like you have a firm grasp of the English language right now, Tom.
Right. Am I stroking out again?
Possibly.
Oh! Look, I like CB's March Prep Madness.
Yes, I'm going to go with March Madness. Let's prep March Madness, March Prep Madness, something like that. Yes, yeah.
So I think when we come here on Mondays, we should wear like crazy hair and crazy hats.
Have you not
seen
seen
going mad! It's March Madness!
There we are. Yeah. March Madness is the thing some author tubers are doing. Yep, I can believe it. So, yeah, like this is how people cope. Maybe we should, I don't know. Okay. I think that's like approximately most of like the big hits I wanted to make about coping skills. Of like, we're just trying to touch on this stuff. It's not like definitive.
And also give you a sense to be relaxed about it.
Right.
There's no definitive, this is the best coping strategy. It's just for all of us.
So like there's coping strategies that sound great on paper. Hello, Enwell. Did I get that? I don't know. Enwell. There's coping strategies that sound good on paper, but then when we try to enact it, it just does not fit our lifestyle, or we just have a hard time remembering it, or just for whatever the reason, it just doesn't work for us. Okay, they have sprints and a Discord. Check out Great Fry's channel. I think Cad the Lad set it up, so another place to check. Excellent. Yeah, Cad the Lad has an AuthorTube Discord. If anybody needs an invite, let me know. Eva, if Great Fry is like running right now, you can post a link to it. I mean, post your links, y'all. But like, there's the idea, like my mother used to have a subscription to Women's Day, and every single issue was, oh, try these techniques so you can have it all as much as possible. And so many of them just were not enactable for her or even for me. And then, every once in a while there might be one of the like little tips and trick kind of technique was, you take frozen ravioli, put it in a bowl, and like put a little bit of water, like we're talking maybe, I don't know, 2 spoonfuls, maybe 3, and a whole jar of Prego on top, and then microwave it at 50% or 40%, stir every 5 minutes. And honestly, somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes, it'll be done. And you just, hello, dinner is here. And, have, garlic bread on the side. Or garlic.
That's pretty much what we're doing tonight.
Yeah, that's literally what we're doing. And that was like a really nice tip of like, hey, we could buy frozen ravioli once a month and a jar of Prego. And it is a very affordable meal that we like because we like ravioli. We grew up loving ravioli. Mom liked ravioli. So, and then if somebody actually had a little bit of energy in the family, we might even chop up some vegetables and have a little side salad. And it was like, woo! But it was like, this is a coping strategy of like, what are really easy meals? Like super duper easy meals to make. And that's like one of those. So like, I have a whole collection of these, like truly, they're like, what is it? Like, what's her name? Sandra Lee semi-homemade meals or something like that. And they're semi-homemade because they're like kind of heavy on convenience foods, but they are still, you have to do something to get it together. It didn't just spring forth from the ground edible. And that is like a coping technique of like, hey, I have a little collection of really simple, easy to throw together. And in fact, this book on ADD friendly techniques even listed like 18 ones from one client who it was like 2 or 3 ingredient meals. So one of hers was a jar of spaghetti sauce, a bag of frozen meatballs, and French rolls or French bread to make po' boys or meatball subs or whatever you want to call it. And maybe if she had time and thought about it, some shredded mozzarella or shredded provolone cheese or something, or sliced provolone. And that's a pretty nice meal, and it will feed children. It will feed adults. Everybody's happy. And again, if you got a little time and you remember it, maybe you have some bag salad or whatever. It is not worth the stress. It is worth the coping. It is about good, better, best, about getting you through to the next day, to the next week, to the next month, to the next year. Because you are not in this alone. We'll put our brains together and we will figure out good, better, best solutions on everything. And you're not the only one who's doing it. God, I've been doing it literally my whole life. Let's keep going. That's what I like about Little Nemo and Finding Dory of just keep swimming, just keep swimming. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to keep moving forward because this is how you live. This is how you survive. Anything that helps you cope with living to the next day is a good, better, best option. It's something. And that's what I want to get from it.
I'd say one of the things to help deal with one of my stresses was, mealtime, since, Glory's still recovering. So one of the things we did to take the stress off of my shoulders, because I'm not sure every day if I'm going to be up for actually cooking or not, is we've got, a load of those, parts of microwave meals, that you can microwave, as well as vegetables that are microwavable, so that, you don't need a separate container. And, we've talked about the MREs, from India. They are delicious. You can kind of just sort of put together your meal if, we need to make a different one today because I'm not up for making a full meal.
Yeah, and if I'm not up either, and I'd be happy to take pictures of it and post it on Instagram so people can see, like, this is literally our can barely cope meals that we like to eat.
but they're still, nutritious. They're still, convenient doesn't mean it has to be
unhealthy,
low quality. Yeah.
Right, or low quality. Yeah, so like the veggies are those, like they're $1 or $2 a bag. It's like 12-ounce to 16-ounce veggies, and you don't need any other container. You just throw the whole bag in the microwave and microwave it according to what it says, and it's just pure steamed veggies. There's no additives. You just pop the bag open, and you can just literally put a spoonful or 2 or 3 of butter and just sort of,
and some salt and pepper.
yeah, and then you're done. It's there's a veggie, you can eat it. Because I just want to point out again, vegetable fiber is the way to live a long, happy, regular life, and it's good for your heart and your gut. Eva says mac and cheese out of the box plus canned tuna plus curry mushroom soup equals my mom's tuna casserole. Exactly. Our mom used to make Kraft macaroni and cheese or her own homemade macaroni and cheese, which was weird, but it was good. Which was like, you make the elbow macaroni, you just boil it like normal. You strain it. And so a whole pound of elbow macaroni, right? A stick of butter, a whole stick, stir that, and then I can't remember, was it a pound of shredded or chopped cheese, or was it 2 pounds? I don't remember. It was a lot. It was probably...
It was a pound. We preferred 2 pounds.
That's right. So it was a pound of cheddar. And then you stir from the residual heat in the pot and the noodles, and you stir. It's not exactly a sauce, but it's really edible. And it's very filling, for kids, right? Look, you don't have to worry about preservatives. And then also like a couple cans of tuna mixed with a little of sour cream, yogurt or mayo, like Greek yogurt or mayo. And I always like to add like some chopped celery and stuff, but I know not everybody's into that. That's cool. But she'd have that on the side, and then a vegetable, whatever she could find. Sometimes it was like baby carrots with a little ranch. Sometimes it was whatever we found in the fridge. The one I hated was when she would just open up whole kernel corn, heat it up and put butter on it, and I don't like the smell of whole kernel corn out of a can. I don't mind it frozen, but out of the can, it's got this strange cooked milk, evaporated milk smell that I don't enjoy. But that was her look, they're fed and it's semi-healthy, it's fine. But there's a lot of ways to cope that are better than just feeling like I'm eating trash. The fact that you are thinking you're eating trash is, your body knows this and is not then therefore happy about it, even if someone else is like, what do you mean? This is pretty good. It's that mindset. It actually does affect your own body's ability to pull nutrition in your gut from the food you eat. When you feel bad about the food you're eating, your body is not getting the same nutrients out of it that when you feel happy about that food, what it's pulling out. There's a mind-body connection. So CB says, a chopped red bell pepper, smoked sausage, sweet corn, pasta, and barbecue sauce, and a little shredded cheese. That sounds really good. Honestly, I do it in the microwave. I'm going to just say it. I do it in the microwave. I don't feel like I need a frying pan for that.
Or for the perennial,
Oh, is it about a pressure cooker, Tom? Is it an electric pressure cooker? Tom can do everything.
You can do it. Yes.
I make top ramen in the microwave.
Oh, yeah. So. Tom does too. He loves to make ramen in the microwave. I do too, actually. I like the yakisoba one. Eva says turkeys can keep a year frozen. Pick up an extra when they are on sale around whichever holiday.
Yes, for those who are on, I can't remember which Discord. Maybe it was Charlie's. You can see the hams in our deep freeze.
Yes.
Is there enough ham there?
Yeah, Eva says, come on, my mouse will work eventually. Boiled potatoes, ground hamburger cooked, macaroni noodles cooked and drained, tossed together with pork and beans and ketchup equals mom's slop. I bet it is good and filling. Although I think instead of ketchup, I might go with the barbecue sauce.
Mm-hmm.
I bet that would be good. Stevie says, Tom.
Sorry about that. I had
He's just 13. I grew up in a house with no oven and a questionable microwave. I get it. But yeah, like, I'm just saying, like, it's great having a variety of tools available. It is a way to cope. So just thinking about that, I think that you'll find an easier time. And remember, there is no need for you to feel truly lonely. Let's pull our heads together and figure out solutions for everyone on how to address the loneliness, because loneliness kills. And I don't want anything to happen to anyone here. I mean it. Or anybody.
And it's perfectly fine to just go into avatar mode. I mean, like, I have to do that a lot because eye contact is exhausting for some of us.
Yeah.
Or even the thought of others' eye contact on us. Just, brains are weird.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's keep that in mind and let's figure out some workable solutions for everybody. Stephanie, would you like to do an outro and show us your book, baby? Just
oh, where did I put it? Oh, yes.
It's somewhere.
Jackson!
I got it.
Jackson, can you hand me my book? Thank you. It's in my giant box of books. Oh, I'm the only one on screen.
What's on that necklace?
That's right. Oh, it's supposed to be the Capricorn's constellation.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Because I'm a Capricorn. It did come with a bracelet set, but I mean, it came from China. It took like 3 months to get here. It already came apart, but yeah, it's okay. So, oh yes, my name's Stephanie. As you can see from the bottom of my screen right there, that is the name of my channel. You can find me pretty much anywhere out there in social media land, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, obviously, because I'm here right now. Have a new website I made on Wix. It's in my description of my channel videos, and I have this second book. There we go. Detours of Destiny, book 2. It is a series, and there is the ever handy link. That's what I was going to say. Yes. It is an awesome 345 pages, only because the font is not the size of font that I would like. It's like a size 11 or 12 font.
I believe this is.
Other than that, Tom, other than that, it's just fine. You'll like it, I hope.
Can you really be an author tuber if you don't have a critique about your own book of how they still couldn't get it right? This is not my vision.
Page numbers are properly. At least the page numbers are proper. Anyways, okay, how about this? This is my beautiful book. You should come check it out. It is the second in the series. If you haven't read the first one, you might want to. Although it's not required to understand what's happening in this book. But it does have a lot more background. I think that's it. You should probably talk to someone else.
Okay. Also, though, I just want to point out, I believe this is Stephanie's YouTube channel link, and her channel is listed below in the description if you are watching on the replay.
By the way, Maggie, when is
your Hold My Coffee 2020 premiere? Is there
when is it?
For it, so we can at least set a reminder or something? She said I can start it anytime.
Oh, is it going to be like a live? Oh no, it's already recorded. If it's a premiere,
yeah,
right. I don't know how that works.
I mean, honestly,
I know nothing.
We just show it during the after party. We could honestly just share screen and watch.
Yeah.
Or maybe like no, she's like, I need the views. Everybody watch it on your phone. We'll watch it all together and apart at once. Yes, give us the link, Maggie. I do believe Maggie has a wrench. I mean, like, pretty much everybody's got a wrench, frankly. Everybody who comes back regular has a wrench. Okay, we are still broadcasting. I'm like, do you know that? Do you know that we're still broadcasting?
What is that? Oh, it's that black screen.
That's Eva.
Oh.
But yes. I think I want to say that Maggie is working on a link. And so I will literally just start to fill the time until
we can actually get a link.
Maggie, give us a link. Where's
There
the
it
link?
is. Give us a sec for it to pop up.
Oh, there, this one. Excellent. There is a link, everybody. Yay.
Don't you love this whole ability to just link around now?
Oh gosh, I mean, talk about, drunk with power.
The video's still private though, Maggie.
Oh yeah, it still says it's private. Okay. Well, at least we all have the link.
Yeah, mine says private.
Charlie says my vision requires access to ILM or Studio Ghibli, or is that MIR?
Mirror, yeah.
Okay. Well, it will be premiering soon. So keep your tab open. That's all I know. Okay. Tom, would you like an outro?
What would I outro?
Tom is great. He has
I'm still here.
Look on tech support, on helping people fix their computers and maybe iPhones. I know he helps people in real life fix their iPhones a lot, or bring their iPhones back to life. Let's see. What else do I know about him? Also, he is the other half of my story development editorialship. Since we both love to help other people help nurture their stories into real life. So, yeah, this is the things that we do. Also, yeah, we cook.
We cook, we strategize. We occasionally photograph. Maybe we'll take people on adventures as we drive around this place.
Yes. So thank you so much for coming. If you've made it this far, I am super impressed. And I hope that we will see you again. Oh, that's what we haven't discussed. What are we going to talk about next week? I like the silence.
Actually, I was just gonna say, probably a heads up. Next week there will probably be spoilers for Coming to America, as it comes out on the 5th, which will be between now and then. And Gloria and I will definitely be watching the sequel to one of our favorite movies.
I don't know that we're going to give spoilers out.
I'm just saying, don't be surprised.
Okay. Do you want to talk about job counseling?
The many things we've learned about what's really needed in all the different jobs we've had and jobs of our friends.
Yeah, because I'm still having difficulties getting most people lined up for our episode about allies and friendship.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Okay, good. Well, we've got one. But yeah, that one. I don't know.
Shall we give the secrets of what jobs? What do a lot of these jobs really take? Because it is not what people think. Being a librarian is not about loving books. It has nothing to do.
In an interview, why do you want to be a librarian? Oh, I love books. Oh, you cannot be a librarian. You're going to be a shit librarian, y'all. That is a terrible reason to want to be a librarian. If you love books, then you go be a reader. Do not be a librarian, because librarianship has nothing to do with books.
Go become an editor.
Yeah. No. No, editor is about wanting to nurture stories into real life to share with others. It's still not about books. I love books is about reading.
Yeah.
Of we'll go be a reader. That's... Why do you want to, write cookbooks because I love food? Again, that's actually not a great reason to write a cookbook because I love food. the reason to write a cookbook is because I want to help other people feed themselves in a healthy and easy way that they can enjoy at home. It's still people-centric rather than, oh, I like eating. Well, I do too, but that has nothing to do with like going step by step in an easy to follow recipe and like proofreading it and like running it by other people to see, is it possible to mess up this recipe the way I have written it?
And like, Maggie's need for putting things in order, that's databases right there.
Right. That is very much a database administrator, is somebody who likes to put things in order and like ahead of time knows the order they're going to put it in. That is very much important in database construction, database design, and database management. So, we're going to talk about all the things we've learned about job counseling, because we have gotten a lot of really genuinely terrible advice about jobs. And we are now at the age that we're like, we're going to share with you every tip and trick we found for how to figure out the right kind of jobs.
And then maybe you can help others.
Right. Because like we found, like, how do you know someone would make a really ideal dental hygienist? It's not what you think. Tune in next week to find out what is this mysterious and unique trait you may never guess. What it is straight up weird. Or consequently, also how you'd make a really good dentist. Because there's something that every single dentist in our metropolitan area has in common. It's probably not what you think. You should totally tune in next week at 4 p.m. on Monday. And if you'd like to join
Wait till we tell you about psychiatrist.
Oh, well, yes. Okay. Yeah. So totally come join us next week. We would love to see you. And we'd love even more if you want to join us on site, behind the scenes beforehand, behind the scenes after at the after party, or just, like Stephanie, who I think maybe has written and edited a book while on screen with us. It's totally cool. I'm like, Steph is our writer in residence. I love it. I love it.
In a semi-literal way.
Learned. So thank you so much for coming, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.